the world is remote, right? So everyone's...
Wait, you had a one-liner. It's this whole podcast. You said, I wanted to make $100,000 a year. You wanted a sandwich. Let's build Amazon.
Let's get into, I guess, our origin story. We tell everyone this pretty much. They're always like, Dylan, Henry, how'd you meet? Okay, well, we met at Brown. This was ADOC, which is Accepted Students Day. I got in. I committed already. It's really supposed to be for people that like decide if they're going to go or not. But I just want to go and meet friends, hopefully a couple hot girls. The first person I saw that looked cool, athletic, was Henry at this flag football. It was just a dude standing there, looking around, not really like being the QB or anything that I'm kind of used to. He looked fun. He was a cutie. So I'm like, all right, Dylan, go up and talk to this guy. I do. I don't know what we said. I'm like, flag football, how about that? And then we ended up hanging out. There's another dude. He dropped off, but we stuck together. We kind of like throughout college, we're close, got farther away, circled back at the end.
Right, we had very different lives in college. It's like you didn't want to go out much, very introverted, worked in your room. You were just like content doing your own thing. I mostly hung out with a friend who like we would go out for 4 nights a week and just fuck around. Yeah.
I missed the pivotal moment in that relationship because I was abroad in Argentina, and that's where y'all started living together. Because sophomore year you were alone, freshman year you didn't. You lived on the other side of campus.
Yeah.
So we never really had a chance to be close until senior year. So
hey, what'd you do on all those nights? You just hung out with Binky?
Senior year?
Yeah, just.
Were you working? He's got a lot to talk about.
I can see it so clearly. Us coming home, smashed, and you're just at your desk. You're just working on something. Till Well, your work hours were midnight to 4 a.m.
Oh yeah, I was working for Todd during this stuff too.
And then we come down in the morning and be like, Pop, you gotta get up, Pop. It'd be 12 noon, and you.
Hey, so we can't lose people. We can't lose people. We got to keep pushing. There are other podcasts for that stuff. Apparently, I'm introverted. I guess that's a lesson. But
it's so funny.
We both realize we're on weird ass paths. I'm in the fucking dark arts, the pickup dating coach world, and I'm loving it. Like it's
so dark,
crazy. It's the most fascinating world you'll ever see. Henry Belky's just taking a year off to shoot vlogs, edit them himself, really just explore life, living from home. And I was living in New York, way above my means, which is a theme in my life now. But
I had meant to take a gap year before college, and that was me satisfying that regret.
Oh. Yeah, you almost went to Stanford, and then you came to Brown, and that's thank God, because now we have a business. You probably already have $1 billion company. But, so...
I don't know, Pop.
I don't know. We're on a good track.
Connect the dots.
Okay, if we didn't lose you already, we're going to get to how this becomes a multi-billion-dollar company by the end of the podcast.
Pop, you just got to say, yes, dude, we want to lose them. It's less people to interact with, dude.
That's it. Okay. Even though leverage, it doesn't matter because it's...
Look.
Okay.
This is going to be good. I'm in the mood. I'm in the exact same mood that is how we
the derail mood.
No, not a derail. I am derailing, but it's the exact same mood in between like lucid and sleep when we figured the Tomas hour when we figured out our purpose on this planet in this life, and that's coming by the end of this podcast. That's why people need to stick around.
Remember the tease with fucking like Ali Abdal? Or Amar, for whoever it was, teased it the whole time, and then I brought it up, and I'm like, wow, that was
we got kind of tired. Okay.
No, this is going to be a lot doper. This has kept me up for like 72 hours straight. Okay, so I'm working in New York. Henry's kind of bopping around, but living from home, figuring life out. We go on a cool like Tanzania trip, Colombia trip. That was our first trip, just us two, which was awesome. I was fat. That was fun.
Hey, don't tell them what we did. Easy. No, don't. People are going to think things. I'm just kidding.
So then come COVID.
You were fat.
COVID's the...
Dude, thank God there wasn't COVID when we were in Colombia. You would have died. You were so fat.
No, dude, I would have got the vax right away. No, I would have died.
I think
for
we
sure,
got
'cause
it,
they
by
didn't
the
have
way.
it.
Go watch that vlog. We were very sick. Okay.
Oh, I did get the clap.
We
dude.
got...
We got clapped bad. So, come back. COVID hits the world. I'm in New York working in the dark arts. Henry's in Chicago. No purpose in life.
I don't know what I was
shooting
doing.
videos. No one's watching. You were kind of. You started. Did you start building the studio then? I don't know what your timeline is. I'm kind of confused.
That summer.
Okay, so
No, so COVID happened. We were locked down. My parents were bugging me because they're not ambitious. And so as a byproduct of that, I was like, I need a studio. I need somewhere I can just roll up each day and get to work. Like, my year's coming to end. I need to start building stuff.
right. And on my end, I'm working for Todd, who's Todd V Dating. I don't even know if I ever said it publicly, but Todd V Dating was the company. And big YouTube channel, profitable business, but it's just poorly managed all throughout. It's like
It's the dark
pickup
arts.
artist. He doesn't. This is the dark arts. This
so funny.
It's really. I just love that term. And
What's so funny about
so
the
what
dark
happens?
arts, I'm taking this tangent. What's so funny about the dark arts is most people I talk to these days are in it. People don't realize that. It's
Everyone dabbles in the dark arts,
especially
to some
in tech,
degree.
Especially in tech. This is new to
Right.
me.
But I didn't realize how asked out, as in they're just like socially awkward. All these people are. I thought they were just like I thought I was, where it's I can talk to people. I just choose not to, and when I do, I don't like being drunk to do it. So how do I do it normally during the day? That's why I got into it. But
That's not the dark arts. That's way too normal.
I know, and it turned. I don't know what I was in. I was like on the fringe, but regardless, I was in the dark arts. I was too ambitious for the dark arts, and the dark arts, they just wanted to make YouTube videos, get a couple fuckboys here and there, a couple nerds, sell them on some products, and I'm like, I'm dreaming of the unicorn, the crazy business, and this isn't it. So I tell Todd, I'm like, Todd, come say April, or actually. This is an interesting point I forgot about. Right before I left, I was getting into the 4-hour work week again, and I was like thinking, okay, how do I leverage myself? I need someone to help. So this is actually when I hired Kay. Kay, I hired for Todd to edit some of Todd's notes for the dark arts.
No
So
shit.
Kay's listening to this right now. She was the first person I ever hired
I'm sorry,
anything
Kay.
smart nonsense.
Dark arts, man.
Yeah, we got her out of there. Or actually, I think this is what happened. We hired her, and then we realized, we didn't need it. It didn't make sense because the dark arts is like a
I remember
very
that.
specific niche.
I
And then we
remember that.
broke off. But I still had her contact info, and I'm like, she was amazing. I wish we could have worked together. Flash forward, I tell Todd, hey, I don't want to, or I want to like pause working here. I want to go on a little sabbatical, basically.
So, well, here's
and
what
figure out
happened.
my own life.
You're reading the 4-hour work week. You finally get me to pick up the 4-hour work week, and we start calling each other a lot because this shit's mind blowing. I remember
This might have been.
I made a vlog that April, and I said something like I had been gone for 3 months because of COVID, making videos, and I said something in that video like I've read these 6 self-help. I've discovered self-help books, and they're like crack cocaine or something. That's when we started calling each other. That's when you're
Wow.
like, Todd, this isn't good anymore. So. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Right. So I told Todd this, and I'm like, one of the reasons why I could do this was basically Todd's business. It was run poorly, and when COVID hit, no one's going out and talking to girls. So the business model cratered. We had a bunch of emergency. What the fuck are we gonna do with the company? Everyone takes a pay cut, and I'm like, I'm not making that much. If I just quit, I could probably get unemployment, make even more than I'm making after the pay cut. And just go on a sabbatical, explore.
Who was the
It turns
first to
out,
get unemployment? Did you get it and tell me?
Got it at the same. I forget the.
Interesting.
We both. It was basically like, this is the government saying, hey, anyone ambitious that wants to be an entrepreneur, this is your chance.
I mean, yeah, but that's like a 1% of 1%. Most people,
I know. For
shit
us.
was just shutting down. For us, yes. Shit was
For
shutting
us,
down.
it was the opportunity of a
Unemployment was-
lifetime.
Yeah.
It was essentially like, we're going to pay you $1,000 a week or whatever it was. to just explore your wildest dreams living at home. I'm like, I take that all day.
That was my first. The first thing I did, because I was running out of money and my year was ending, was I started a wedding photography business. And I booked like 20 weddings in February. COVID hit. All those weddings got pushed. That was my excuse to get on unemployment, was I was a freelance photographer out of work.
Beauty. And that's why it sucked for our friends that graduated the year after. They didn't have the work experience, so they couldn't go and be like, oh, I'm on unemployment. I remember talking to a bunch of our friends, like golfing in the summer, and I was double dipping for a little bit, kind of doing some semi-illegal stuff. But I don't know. Maybe it's legal, maybe not. Hopefully the statute of limitations expires by the time anyone listens to this. But basically, I was making twice because I was still doing some work on the side for Todd until I officially made the break, and we'll get to why. But
I thought you meant you were getting unemployment from 2 states. Which was
I did kind of get that.
Dipping.
I think I got a lot more money than I deserved, but we're paying the government so much money now. I don't fucking care. They should be happy. Basically, I'm kind of dabbling in both, and then I call up Binky, our friend Brian. He's sort of this. He must have Asperger's. He must have something, but it's like the fun type of Asperger's.
It's so
like
fun.
He just goes down this rabbit hole with you, and he'll teach you everything you want to know about Porsche, Tiger Woods,
and
or
guitars.
fucking fluid dynamics, or
guitars.
It's absurd. And so
he's
when
a
you
dude,
would go out and get drunk,
yeah, go ahead.
I'd be talking to Binky for 2 hours at 2 a.m. and we had a podcast. It was the most. It was goofy. That was just in college. We would like record He would record me when I'm not listening.
Voice
I didn't
memos.
know he was recording me on voice memos. So, come the summer, I think he just graduated from his 5th year masters, which is useless to him. But I'm like, Binky, we have a lot of cool conversations. What if we just recorded them and put them out into the world? I think that'd be fun. And he's like, Pop, I don't know, Pop. I don't have a mic.
I was going to say,
Pop.
I don't know what he said. Can I guess? Easy, Pop. Pop, a fucking podcast? A podcast with me, Pop. Pop. Pop.
Pop. I don't have a mic on my computer, Pop. Are you fucking my ass right now? Like, he's that stupid. And
he is.
But he's the #1 player on the golf team at Brown, and he's the engineer. Like, he's just a weird kid, but he's fun. So I'm
he's
like,
really
that'd
smart.
be fun, smart nonsense with them. He basically takes too long, and I guess in this sense, a man of action. I'm like, I quit. This is my one opportunity. I got to do it before the money runs out, because the state or the government is basically saying like, hey, we're gonna make sure you have money until this date. So I'm like, that's my Parkinson's. I gotta hit critical mass with Smart Nonsense Pod by this day, or it's over. And so Smart Nonsense was gonna be with Brian, but it ends up.
Thank
that I'm like,
God.
okay, who's a good backup plan to Brian? Well, Ice, he's too busy. He's probably doing finance. He's not really into this shit. I guess Henry. I guess that guy. I don't know this is making maybe the sequence of events seem weird, because I don't know how we went from. Oh, maybe my pitch to you was like, we're having these conversations. Let's just record them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was. No, you reached out. You're like, let's just
Why
start a
was
podcast.
Brian before you is my confusing part.
Yeah, I don't know. You might have. That was a point. No, that was at a point where you and Brian would FaceTime every day for like 2 hours a day.
Right.
Now you don't answer his FaceTimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. But basically, we're like, okay, Belky, we have these conversations. I guess you started getting into entrepreneur or self-help stuff, and now we're on the sort of the same wavelength. So like, oh, let's talk about this, because no one else really talks about it in a fun way. They're young. They're just like the Gen Z of the future, trying to create something great. Like we're kind of getting into that world. So we start recording the podcast. The first episode drops July 8th, 2020. The timeline begins for Smart Nonsense. This is the podcast. And
I didn't even
what
do this
we
timeline,
did.
so I'm stoked to hear this, Pop. This is good.
Yeah, on YouTube we're gonna animate some of this. So
I did the
you should be able
2021
to follow along.
timeline because I thought this was the 2021 episode, but
No, this is gonna be a long one.
yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad.
Hey, it's I don't know.
Dear
Zach's gonna be like, I'm not gonna watch it.
2045. That
Right, that was
is-
the podcast.
We figured out 2045, Pop. this weekend. All right. Continue.
Oh, baby. Okay. So I was under the 4-hour work week mindset of, okay, how can we just get on the podcast, record it, and it goes out to the world without any effort on our part? And how do you grow a podcast? You should probably have video. So like, okay, let's have Kay, who I used to work with. I'll reach out, see if she wants to join, and she'll do the show notes. And then we'll have Erica and Ken help with the clips and the full episodes to put on YouTube so that we can share them with our friends, and hopefully the podcast is going to grow. Because my philosophy at the time, or our philosophy was, if we can shoot a podcast and have it go out to the world on multiple different mediums for $25 an episode, which is somehow what we thought we could do. We're like, we can do this till the end of time. We don't need money. $25
at a minimum,
for an
I know
episode?
you modeled it. You were like, we can do this until unemployment is up. And I was like, okay.
Right. We were living at home, so our expenses were low. I was still kind of paying for some food and rent just to like get the guilt off my shoulders. But we could essentially do it for several months with paying a full team.
This is so interesting, man. So I, similar to that mindset, and at the same time, I get on unemployment. I was like, I think unemployment went to July or September. It was like $10,000. I was like, okay, I've got money saved up from the wedding thing. I can take this $10,000 and build out a studio. That's rent for 1 year. I've got 1 year to figure something out. I've got 1 year to like be in a place where I can build something. We'll figure it out. That's crazy.
Parkinson's, dude.
That's Parkinson's.
Is fucking amazing. I knew. We both knew we got to figure it out by then. Somehow it's going to get figured out. So what happens? We end up shooting this podcast, and we're ripping pretty much daily. I think it was daily for months and months. It was basically like Noah Kagan.
I think we did 85 episodes daily. 85 in a row or something.
That's fucking nuts. That's so crazy. Just because we loved it. It was never work. It was like, this is fun. This is me being an introvert at home. I want to talk to someone. Henry's the like echo chamber that I love. So it was just the most fun conversations. The podcast started off with super shitty quality. I was super self-conscious. And then, because Henry had a good mic, then I invested in a good mic because I'm like, I'm going to do this forever. Turns out I didn't even need to.
But then you're like, all right, my unemployment's not going to last me as long. Like, we got to push harder.
Right. So we get to, it's not growing. It's hard. I mean, it's growing, but it's like 5,000 listens a month. Maybe it was probably like 2,000. It was not many. It's like, we can't monetize this. We need to be at scale. So I'm like, okay, well, what was my backup plan if I run out, which I pretty much ran out November. I'm like, I guess I can go back to Todd. Tell him I'm off my sabbatical. They loved me. Like, I'm an amazing, smart person. I could run the company well. So I can circle back. And now, when I was working with Todd, I was kind of lost. Like, I didn't have a real purpose. They knew I was awesome, but they just didn't know, like, what to apply that awesomeness to. Whereas now I come back, and I'm like, hey, I get media. I get the podcast world. I get video podcasts. We've done it for ourselves. We shot 100 episodes. They look amazing. Todd, let's do that for you. You can't go out. You can't film anything in the outside world. Let me set up your studio, and we will do all the post-production for you, hands off. And this is what I'm going to get into is, like, how much the fuck what do I price this at? I was really nervous. I'm thinking back. I forgot about this whole system. I actually shot it right here with our whole setup. I was like, I don't know what to charge. I was scared.
Wait,
I think I started out.
You pitched him with this backdrop, right? To show him, like, I built something on my sabbatical.
Yeah, well, what was funny was I got on, and I had all the cameras and lights off because I didn't want to seem like try hard or anything like that. And he's like, wow, really cool. Like, do the lights actually, like, those light up? And then I flipped the switch, and it was like, and I just, like, sold this experience. And I also sent him this pitch deck of, like, all the content we're going to make. Granted, we didn't end up doing, like, nearly that same model, but the idea was it looked beautiful, and it looked like we had an idea in mind. So that helped. And I basically pitched him on something that amounted to over $10K a month. It was like a base rate of $7K plus $500 a video that we did. Something like that.
Wait. Your buddy over there, Yuri, who does marketing for him, gave you the model to pitch to him, right? The retainer model.
Oh. No. That was later on. Not for Todd. I think I came up on that.
Okay.
We'll get into, like, figuring that shit out. But basically, I just kind of like thought I could make maybe like $8,000 off of them. Oh no. This is what happened. This is interesting. Before I pitched it, because we had read for like all these podcasts were us reading books and applying them to our lives. So one of the books was Never Split the Difference, and it was like you want a mirror, and you want to just repeat the question back. So Todd originally, he was the first one to offer because I kind of pitched him on this whole like deck of content that we're gonna do and just make it automatic.
I remember that deck,
and
wasn't it?
I can put up the B-roll too.
I remember. I was like, "Where'd you get this?" And you're like, "Canva." I think it was a template from Canva, and I was like, "Wow, that looks good." So go on Canva. People.
Yeah, either that or I forget how I'm. Yeah, it looked beautiful.
It was slick.
So we did that, and he basically said like, I was at like $1,000 a week before. I was making like $50,000 a year. Like I was making nothing, and he was anchored there. So he's like, well, it sounds like a little bit more than what you're already doing, and I'm like, or what you were doing. I'm like, thought a little bit more. He's like, yeah, well, it's a good amount more. I guess we could bump it up a little bit to maybe like $1,500 a week or something like that. It was like $1,200 a week or something. I'm like, $1,200 a week? And then
Silence.
the next thing he's like, no, we could do more. Maybe like 2,000 or whatever. He quoted me literally like double what he said the first time. And it was like, oh my God, mirroring is working. We got to this amount that's like, came out to over 10K. And I was expecting to get like maybe 6 or something like that. So that worked. That was like, okay, the Getting Smart Nonsense podcast to be a global brand didn't work. But we circled back. I'm now making a lot of money. You are working on Dunbar with our other friend.
Wait, but also the point there is with our other friend. That's a major moment when we started to see like,
there's value.
Oh, these things we're reading about, they actually work. Mirroring actually works. The 4-hour workweek stuff is real if you apply it. It's just people read this stuff and don't apply it. We had the time to apply these things and the accountability with each other to test them out, talk about what worked, what didn't, and then just try a bunch of shit.
So, trying a bunch of shit, now we could sell like our learnings back to Todd. It was just me, so I could sell my learnings back to Todd. And now I'm the one that's balling out. I'm essentially doing better than all our friends just from this one deal. But our friends were shitting on me. They were like, why are you spending all this money on the podcast? And they were roasting us. And I'm like, dude, you don't know. I'm making more than all of you right now, but you're roasting us. Like that's fucking hilarious to me.
And you wouldn't
But at the same time,
yeah, the poetic justice is you wouldn't tell anybody what you were making. Well, I knew. But you're like, I know that this is right for me.
It's
and I don't
the chips, dude.
Yeah.
The chips, I'm like, I don't even want you. I want you to find out a year later we're worth $10 million, $1 billion.
Because if they saw
like,
how
what
you were
the
living
fuck?
too, when we moved in that apartment, which we're about to get to, is like you didn't upgrade your life.
Oh
at all.
my God. Oh, I forgot that whole part of the story. Because I started out in my mom's house, and you were here in Chicago. And then we interviewed Jack, who lives in Chicago still. And we never released that pod because it works at Citadel, a lot of confidential shit. We can put up the B-roll of like something there. But
you can show him.
He's like, I'm going to Palm Beach. Like the company's flying us out for winter and COVID, and we're just going to quarantine there. You can just live in my apartment for a month. And I'm like, live in your $2,500 apartment in downtown Chicago where I need to go with Belky?
His $2,500
Sold.
apartment. It's this big. It's France.
$500 a month apartment. Come on, connect the dots. So I was like able to come here. I am like sleeping in his bed. I was just lucky. That was a fortunate situation, but it didn't matter. Like I've slept on the floor before. I was gonna find a way to get to Chicago because we wanted to blow this up. So I finally got here, and then I'm here like a month, and I'm like, yo, Belky, can we find a living situation? And because you were living at home, you needed to get out of there.
This was early COVID, right? So
now.
like you couldn't come to my house necessarily, right? Because at that point, like my 50-year-old parents were considered elderly and probably would have died of COVID. Or we just didn't know. Nobody knew. It was very scary. Mm-hmm. And so we would roll up to the workshop. We'd shoot a podcast, but that was it. And we're like, no, we're on the same path. We need to live and breathe this stuff.
So we live and breathe. We build out this whole setup. It's super fun. You, for Dunbar, which you want to kind of, maybe you tell the Dunbar story. I've talked a lot. Like the SparkNotes version.
SparkNotes, yeah, we were...
Of like how David came in to...
Hey, come on, this wasn't even my timeline. But I was building this social platform, right? This is when all these security, privacy proceedings were happening with the U.S. government versus Facebook. I look at all my thousands of friends on Facebook. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And all this privacy shit's happening. This doesn't make sense. I'm like, what's going on here? So I start researching different bits of psychology. I'm like, okay, human beings can only have 150 friends. Why do I have 3,000 on Facebook? I wanted to build a platform that helped you connect with those 150 people, because I was like, if this bubble pops, people are going to be left with this kind of Dunbar number, 150 people that they can interact with. That was the idea.
I forgot. So we had interviewed this person, David, on our podcast, the Smart Nonsense podcast. He was in, what do you call that? Venture capital? In
private equity.
He was in venture capital. Private equity, sorry. And he like heard what we were doing, and he's super excited. He was hating his life. We had a bunch of clips that were funny of him like, fuck banking, fuck
episode.
finance. Like it was fun. And so he got inspired. He heard about the Dunbar mission to just connect people, like make social media real, and or like connect people in person.
Yeah, it was a reflex off of being online back to in person.
Right.
That's the insight I had.
When the world opened back up, you guys wanted to launch. And so he comes out to Chicago. We all find a place together in Chicago. And it's just the fucking creator cabin. I don't know what the fuck you want to call it.
Well, let me say that the problem from the on-off ramp, the problem was, right, I've done a bunch of this shit my whole life. I've been pitching people my whole life, trying to sell them on these silly ideas I have. And so when I released Dunbar to the world in a vlog, and David hit me up, I was like, I don't care who this person is. If they're as interested in this thing as I am, holy shit, like someone's actually listening to me for once. So I just moved really fast in a lot of wrong directions. Not David's fault, but...
Well, here's what's interesting. With Dunbar, we were talking about this the other day, which we'll finally get to at the end of this, of like good ideas versus bad. But Dunbar, I always thought was a nice idea in theory, but I thought as a business it was shit. Or there's just like so many unknowns. It was so difficult to prove out.
This is one of my big learnings for the end.
So I was like not a believer at all. That's why I didn't join the company, and I kind of made that pretty apparent. But a lot of people were like, oh, that's a noble idea. Like, I like that. That's good. And anytime you hear everyone saying that's a good idea, but you've never like tried to sell them on something, or like they have no skin in the game, they're just like trying not to be mean and hurt your feelings, everyone's going to take that route. They're all going to tell you that's awesome.
It was easy to grasp, right? A lot of people had this Facebook problem, and people thought it was a good idea because it was easy to grasp. You hear that, you're like, oh, I really only do know 100 faces closely.
Right.
It makes a lot of sense. As a business, building a social platform doesn't make a lot of sense, and we'll get into that. That's one of my big learnings.
Okay, so basically, we're all living together. I finally started making money. Y'all are still poor. You're living off unemployment. David's living off of...
No, he was fine.
Kind of doing part-time.
He was working part-time, yeah.
It started getting worse, though. It started getting worse with the money issues. So let me check the timeline, make sure we're basically coming into...
We're coming into the winter?
So what happened was I then, working with Todd, I had to scale up a little bit because Ken became Henry's vlog editor. So I only had Erica to edit content. I then hire Pow. And Pow's a beast. He comes in and he brings like this new side of animation. This was our first foray into...
motion graphics.
After Effects, motion graphics. And I was just like, wow, this is really cool. Todd was amazed. He's like, I'm so sold. This is... Everyone on his YouTube was like, the new editor is incredible. But it was super hands-on. We were dictating all the edits. It was like me going in and literally writing, do this for this edit. And eventually I got someone else named Mark, who was actually in the last podcast. I was giving him some advice. I had him doing that, so I got like a little bit out of it. But it was still just the most manual. I tell you to do this, you animate it. I give you feedback, you reanimate it. It was a lot of work. But
you were drawing almost frame by frame what the graphics should look like.
And a lot of people will do that their entire lives. Just be like, this is good enough. The money's good. Why not stay? And luckily, I'm lazy, and I'm like, this is still too much work. I want to be doing nothing. I just want to be doing what I love to do. So what happens? I then hire AJ. AJ is going to help with the podcast as well, potentially with Todd. Where Erica and Pau are with Todd. AJ is on the podcast. Belky, you still there?
Yeah. Can you see me or hear me?
Yeah.
Can I just say before we talk about who AJ is, because things are about to heat up. This was such a beautiful winter. It was the darkest winter. It was the first COVID winter. We couldn't do anything. When we look back, we're like, what did we do? And what we did is we were just forced, the three of us, to be in our apartment and build shit. We were all running out of money. You weren't at that point. But we were running out of money. We were goofing off. It was a fucking
No, I was
blast.
too, though. Because Todd would always pay me late.
Right.
Which was a huge pet peeve of mine. Actually, oh, fuck. I got to make sure to send pay today.
Erica sent you the Excel sheet, the spreadsheet or something.
Oh, did she?
Yeah,
Fuck.
it's in our messages.
Fuck, though. I got to get it in before 4. It's going to be tomorrow. Whatever. Maybe we'll just send them some Christmas bonus and I'll make up for it. I don't know. Whatever. But, yeah, it was one of those winters. The beauty of COVID was there's nothing better to do. It's
we were just stuck.
You can't go out and socialize, so you have no FOMO. That's what I love. There was no FOMO, because when you see people on Instagram going out and having fun, you're like, I want to go out and have fun. I don't want to create a business, because a business is 24/7. Like, I haven't left my house in weeks.
I couldn't go see my parents, right? So part of my problem was my parents satisfice. They've worked their whole lives on these 40-hour work week jobs, whatever. Because of COVID and I was with you guys, us young guys, I couldn't go see my parents much. So I couldn't absorb that mentality much. So the three of us, like, super brained into this, like, we got to figure this out. There's nothing else to do.
It was so much fun, dude. You were sleeping literally on the living room floor because you couldn't pay for rent. And David and I, we both had rooms because we, relatively speaking, had the most money, barely making ends meet. It was
what we ended up doing was splitting the whole thing. You guys paid for the apartment. I was paying for the workshop.
Oh, you paid for the studio. Right.
We were all paying about $900 a month, and we just did everything together. It was, yeah.
It was actually a blast.
And we were hustling.
It's one of those, like,
fun.
When we talked to, oh, fuck. I guess I'll
and
get
you guys
into
played
this
a lot of chess.
Yeah. It's just like, everyone looks at that, and it's like, oh, your life's so hard, you're sleeping on the floor. But it's like, we're laughing at it, because we know this is just temporary. It's like, it's sad if this is forever. But it's like, no, this is everyone. You got to go down to go up. This is just us at the down, but we're about to go up.
Yeah.
And this is the beauty. So we bring on AJ. And AJ, he's working on a Smart Nonsense podcast, but maybe we didn't shoot an episode or something one week. And Henry and I, because we're just, well, I guess all of us, we just consume content. One of the pieces of content that we like to consume is this My First Million podcast.
We also learned how to listen to things faster. So we started super consuming.
Because of the podcast. To shoot every day, we had to finish a book a day. Mm-hmm. So we started, like, that's why I'm such an advocate for just doing something and doing a lot of it, making it super easy. Same thing with my workout habits, same thing with the podcast. We just got the ball rolling. And then you look a year later and you're like, oh my God, what have I accomplished? It's fucking incredible. And so we're consuming a lot of content. One of these, My First Million podcasts, Sam Parr, Sean Puri, they're the hosts. They keep talking about, fucking hell, dude, stay in focus. They keep talking about how they want to do video. And it's just hard. Like, how do you set up the studio? They've only been an audio podcast forever. They used to do it in video. They used to do it in video. They switched to audio because it was easier remote. And we're like, or I'm at least like, hey, I get how to edit YouTube videos. You do vlogs. Like, we get video. What if we did something crazy? And this is where I'm like, wait, how is the sequence of events? Did we both agree that we were just gonna fucking come out of nowhere, blitz him? Oh no! It was what's his name? What's his name on Twitter?
Mark Hendrickson. Yeah.
We saw Mark because we
were
had this
like,
idea float.
Yeah, we were just like floating it. We're like, yeah, we should probably sell this package to them. I was like, you know what? I really want to not be living on the floor someday. Pop, why don't you like just spin up a little agency, get like 3 clients, and sell them this Todd package? And you're like, no, that's a headache. I don't want 3 clients. I'm like, that penthouse right across the street, We could have that with 2 clients. It'd be like $1,800 a month. $1,800 a month goes a long way. I remember being on a walk thinking this, and you're like, nah, dude, no, I don't want to deal with that.
I've always been conflicted, and you can hear it in the podcast. I'm like, do I just stay with Todd, or do I try and grow and build a massive company? What do I do? I didn't really know. All I knew was we like this podcast. We're good at video.
Kicking it around.
Let's just do something. And we see this guy, this no name, Mark Hendrickson. He puts out some post like, hey, Sam Rashan, I forget which one he hit up. He's like, I'm going to come and build your studio. Here's the cost. And we're like, that's it. Well, no, it got on our radar because they both responded.
Yeah.
They both respond to the no name. And I don't know how you sniffed it out, but you see, you're like, here are important people that are normally hard to reach. We somehow got them trapped in this little thread. So they're going to see whatever happens in that thread. Go there. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's impossible to get Ben Chestnut, the founder of MailChimp, to respond. Or it's impossible to get Chamath to respond. It's impossible to get all these people. It's like, no, just make it easy. Or on Twitter, you can get Elon Musk to fucking reply to you. Like, if you do it right.
Yeah, if you're fucking around.
Often. So we saw the opportunity, and you come in and you like do something hilarious where you like undercut them, like, dude, we're gonna do it cheaper, and we're gonna fly out. We faked these plane tickets, like we're gonna fly and just build the studio. They start tweaking. They're like, are these guys serious or not? And this is our opportunity. Like, are we serious?
Right.
Are you questioning if we're serious?
Well, we were trying to figure out if we were serious.
We didn't know, but we just like, we set the 24-hour clock. We're like, well, by tomorrow morning, we're going to have your exact setup and an example of what we're going to edit, essentially. That's
Stay
basically
tuned.
the summary of what we said. So they're like, what the fuck? But like, okay. Now we're on their radar. They're expecting it. So we kind of built this mini hype. And now it's fucking interesting because we act. It's like, this is the blitz, just fucking jump into action. You go and you're like, we shoot one part. It's actually a hilarious, like sort of.
The intro?
Yeah, the intro is really funny. You can see our living situation.
So, right, in terms of timing, it's like so many things are coinciding for this opportunity. It's like I'm doing this daily vlog, so I have an editor who can turn around a piece of media in 12 hours. Like, we've got the system, so we're kind of lucky in that sense. So I'm like, I'm going to go out and shoot this and show them who we are. Let me shoot a vlog. I'll show them we're real people because they don't believe us.
So you rip it. Then you drive down here and shoot. Like, you show this whole. Hey, I can fucking. Hey,
I show them proof of work.
You show this whole studio setup, and it's like, yo, I built this for myself. I'm gonna come, fly out, build it for you for free. Let's do this. And then they see that, and they were stoked. I'm pretty sure they saw that first. And meanwhile, that's like your superpower is the vlog style, get their attention. My superpower at the time was hiring a team to kind of do that for me, but the clip version. So I talked to AJ. I'm like, AJ, let's do this clip from a while back. Can you turn this into like a 2-minute, like just somehow highly animated, cool video? And he's like, on it. And I'm just like, fuck yeah, AJ.
What would it look like if it were easy, right? Because these things are hard. What would it look like if it were easy? We go to My First Million, find their most popular clip. That's already been crowdsourced. That's the most popular thing.
Right.
The public's already said it. It's a good clip. So just take that. AJ, rip it.
The first clip I got was I was trying to get from the last podcast they shot or something, and it was like it was a shitty clip. And I'm like, just go to the most popular one, take that clip, and then it's already going to do viral. Like, you know it's proven, and then you add funny animations on top of it, it's over. So
yes,
AJ he'd been thinking of some like cool style of this like collage board, and so he
couldn't
uses
apply
it for this clip.
Yeah,
because we were literally doing the sort of same thing that we do with Todd. We're like typing out what animations, but we realized, oh, you give them freedom, and they come up with something great. So he creates this amazing 2-minute video that it blew our mind, it blew their minds. They're like, we've never seen anything like this before. It is fucking incredible. It's telling the story of the founder of Silk Road, and it's just how Sam met him, and it was a fascinating story. Spoke directly to them because it's like they see their faces and they see it's getting thousands of views just from our account, and it's like, oh my god, they hit us up, and immediately
24 hours.
Right, in 24 hours we go from no names to now they're hitting us up, and we get it's like there's a whole story. We probably shot a podcast on it, but basically, long story short, we get on the phone with Sean, and he's like, "I love this. I love what you guys are doing. Can you fly out and just help me build the studio in San Francisco?"
Yes, dude. Of
And we're
course
like-
we can.
The funny thing is, are we qualified to build a proper studio?
No, sir.
No, sir, not a bit.
No, sir.
So
I don't even know if I brought a
what-
drill. Did I bring a drill? I must have brought a drill.
You must have brought something.
I don't think I
But we're
owned a
like-
drill. I must have brought my dad's drill. How about that?
Like, Sean, basically, yes, we're on a flight tomorrow. In essence, I don't know if it was like the actual next day or like 2 days after, but it was pretty much like immediately we bought the tickets, we're going. And meanwhile, he's never met us. We were, again, no names, strangers on the internet, just talking about going to their house. And then 2 days later, we show up at his house. And there's like so much funny shit. It was probably the funniest trip of my life. Just us.
All right, so
hanging
this
out,
this
like,
trip for
causing-
me, it was as Dunbar was fizzing up, totally blowing itself up. I'm having a huge co-founder falling out, and I see we've gotten the attention of Sam and Sean. This trip happens to be the most fun thing in the world, and it became obvious to me there. You were still like, "Do we do the agency?" Yeah. I'm like, "Smart nonsense." That's it on that trip.
Right. How about that? Sold you. Because here's one thing, too, I didn't mention, and I want to give him full credit for everything. Ian Lapham, we had him on the podcast back in the summer. Without him and him telling us, dude, you got to get on Twitter. Like, both of you have to get on Twitter. That's how I found my current job. He's working at
Uniswap.
Uniswap. Amazing job. He's like, dude, you can connect with anyone. The most powerful people in the industry is like, just get on there. Just fucking get on there. And we're like, okay, finally we listen to him. We get on there. And that's why
Pop.
the whole thing worked.
Isn't it crazy that our brains work like this? Like, we can remember all these tiny little details and we can articulate them right now?
Dude,
Isn't
it's
that
crazy. It's all in here. It's just like mush. It's all
I'm
mush
just
that
sitting
somehow
here.
remembers this.
I'm just sitting here. I'm like, our brains are firing on all cylinders. This is nuts.
Don't stop. It
Human
don't stop. I gotta
ingenuity.
stretch my legs.
That's amazing.
So it's literally the most fun.
And people can listen
part
to
of-
this with their brains? It can go
Atta
in
way.
their ears and they can... Dude.
Add away. Now you're gonna see. This is how we think big. You got to break it down to first principles and build it back up. So part of this whole like why it was so much fun is we're playing this character, especially Henry is playing this character of the fucking wild man. You can't stop him. He's just crazy Twitter dude going off, messaging Sam as if he's his best friend. Same thing with Sean. He's like shooting the shit, calling him out. Like it's just this fun fucking ride. And that's the one thing. Okay, taking a lesson from like the dark arts. She's like, people go on dates to just have fun. If you're the fun person, people want to be around you. No one ever turns down fun. So
Yeah.
everyone on Twitter is super serious. Everyone in the real world tends to be corporate. We're not that. We're sleeping on the fucking floor. We have nothing to lose.
That's where this character
It's like-
came from. We had nothing to lose. We're like, well, nothing's really working. Why don't we just like crank it up a notch? Why don't we just be crazy and fun and be
Go
memorable?
fucking crazy. And we're young and like people support young people doing shit. That's the beauty of it. Just like fucking act and people love you. And that's when Sean called us originally. He's like, y'all are clearly the 1%. Like most people suck. Most people don't do anything. When you see someone doing something like this in 12 hours, you want to be connected. You want to invest. You want to mentor them. You want to do something because they're unique. And I was like, oh, our egos. But he believed in us and he
egos.
saw it. And so we go there, we build the studio. We're not qualified. There were a bunch of headaches, and we're not going to make this a business, but it got our foot in the door. And he gives us a bunch of lessons, like guys, optimize for people. Look at success at 30. Nothing before that matters. Just fucking grind. Like I didn't become a millionaire till 30. Same with Sam. Sam had recently sold his company to HubSpot and made a ton of cash. Now coming into this, HubSpot's dumping a lot of money into video. So that's why we're extra excited.
He's also like, guys, you're going to realize in 10 years, the absolute most fun you had is when you were sleeping on the floor. The three of you were locked in there. You know, I had a co-founder that was sleeping in the closet. Like, that was the most fun. And
It's
now,
still-
actually, looking back, it was. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
that I don't think it's a sustainable life, but it's the most fun life.
Oh,
it's
it
like
was
the
so
degenerate
stressful.
life.
It was so stressful. But it's type 2 fun, right? In hindsight, reflecting on it, it's like that made
Right.
me who I am.
Knowing that now we're successful, looking back, we're like, oh, that's okay because we have the certainty that we're going to get here. Versus then, there's so much uncertainty. There is the underlying stress, but it's still a blast of just let's cause chaos. And then, oh, people noticed our chaos. Oh my God, let's do more of
Yeah.
that. And that
Yeah.
was our mentality. So we basically built his studio. It was the most fun time, just causing a fucking ruckus. We come back, and now it gets to this point of I got to negotiate with Sam because we're starting to make these clips. They want more of them because the next couple of clips, one of them got like 50,000 views, another one got like 250,000 views. Like it went actually
Michael
bonkers
Jordan's
viral.
house.
Thank God for
Pow.
that. Pow
Pow did
was at
that.
it.
I remember.
Yeah. And yeah, I guess I didn't give him enough credit. Pow is more responsible for this beast than I even thought because I forgot he did that.
Probably.
But that helped sell because we basically, because of Todd, I had some money to put into this without asking for anything. Like we're just making content for a month because we want to get them hooked. Once they get hooked, they're getting all these views and then close them right when we're at the pinnacle of like, this is amazing. Give it to us. I don't care what the price is. We wanted that because it's a
Yeah.
$20 billion company.
And this
So-
is like you didn't have a portfolio, so you had to give them a free month. You had to, if you don't have a
Exactly.
portfolio, you got to work for free. You got to show them what you can do.
The fucking hilarious part is they keep begging for what does this cost? And I'm pretending like, hey, it's no skin off my back. Let me just keep making it. I think they're fun. In the back of my head, I'm like, how much does this cost? I have no idea. There's no pricing. I've never done this before. I didn't know this clip shit existed with AJ. I didn't know this was possible. And now we're suddenly scaling it, still not getting paid, but like I don't know what to charge. And that's where we get in the conversation with Yuri. I'm like, Yuri, who is working in the dark arts with me, he's the marketer.
I
He's
love
like,
the dark arts.
it's fucking hilarious. Never gets old.
It's so dark.
It's not really that dark when you're in it.
No, but
I still
it's
don't
just
think it's
funny.
It's so I basically asked him for advice. I'm like, dude, I don't know what to charge with this. I got on a couple of phone calls with them, with like their marketer. I forget her name. It doesn't matter. But basically, they're like, yo, what does it cost? And I'm like trying to quote them like, oh, well, this is how much it costs me for an animator per month. If I double my margin, then I can do this. And it was like, they're like, what the fuck? Tell me a
What
price. I'm
does
gonna buy
it
it.
cost?
Just tell me a price. And I couldn't get it out. They were begging for it. And also, the reason why I'm like, no, we're going to keep doing it for free is I was just a 1099 guy this whole time. I didn't have a company. There was nothing. So Sam's like, what does it cost? I'm like, I have no way to charge you. I don't know. So,
But also, we're
finally-
young. This is your first foray into entrepreneurship. You're like, can I actually get somebody to pay $15,000 a month? Should I be anchoring the conversation there? Could I get them to pay 20 or 25? Is 30,000 a month too much? It's when you have no money, and even for my weddings, it's like I'm not yet comfortable asking for that much, and that's scary.
it was, I actually, fuck, dude, I remember this. I remember in my notebook, I was running the math. I was like, should I ask for like 10,000? It's a podcast. Is 10,000 a month too much? I don't know. Todd's paying 10,000. Maybe I could get a little bit more. Maybe like 15,000. Fuck, what would a crazy world look like? Fucking 20,000. That would be crazy. And then when I started
And then you're
talking
like,
to them,
but then you're like, if it's a negotiation, never split the difference. I don't want to start at what I'm going to get. So maybe I should
Right.
hit him at 25.
So
So
I
we
don't
end at
actually
20.
know. So what happened was basically Yuri was like, this was the first time he's like, you got to make it no-brainer. Right now you're quoting them all this weird shit. They have no idea what it costs. What does a normal model in this industry look like? Well, it's usually like retainer. So we can actually have a team and like pay them that. So just set up a retainer amount and then charge per video. Like, what is a normal amount? And I was like, I don't know, like $8.25. It's like, no, that sounds fucking stupid. Like, what's like a no-brainer amount? I don't know, 700. He's like, good, 700. Rip it.
Done.
And I was like, okay, 700 a clip. That's it. and you're paying for X amount a month. And Sam, out of nowhere, like, HubSpot's really slow. They're corporate. Sam was like, I don't know what they want to do. They're like thinking about all these other podcasts they want to do. My mind is like, they're trying to scale this to a fucking quadrillion dollars. So I have no idea what to think. Sam's like, oh, because they kept asking me about packages. They're like, what would it cost if we did $50,000 worth of content? What kind of discount could you give us? What about $100,000? I'm like, a month? A fucking month? And I'm like, we could probably do 10% off.
But this is also when
I don't have a business.
right, and your jaw hits the ground. You're like, oh, I need help. I need help
bad.
I'm gonna need
So
to tap.
Sam
someone.
is finally like, they're taking too long. Let's just do $30,000 for my podcast because he's a fucking wild man like us. That's why he loved our chaos. Let's just do $30,000 a month. And we're like, what? Oh my God. And so now, at some point, I don't remember exactly when this conversation happened. It was some point.
My brain's firing.
It was some point in March because basically February we did. Okay, February 28th was when we started the Blitz. But officially, it's still my Twitter video. That clip that we did, that was on March 1st. So for March we did free content.
No, dude, there's no way. There's no way.
What?
There's no way. You must be a month off because of the pandemic.
No.
Oh, this is a year.
February 28th is when I messaged AJ. The post went live on March 1st. 2020.
The pandemic hadn't even started. No, that's 2021.
2021.
The pandemic had been
did I say
going on for a
2020?
year? No, I'm just confused.
Yeah, it
the
had been going
pandemic
on for a year.
Wow. That's dark.
It's so confusing, dude. All the fucking... We've just been inside
confusing.
for so long.
Okay, so, wow.
So this... Basically, March we did a ton of free content for them. Got all these views. A couple of them went viral, like we said. And then come April, they agreed to pay $30,000. And right before this, sometime in March, I'm like, Belky, these conversations, you're seeing me pacing around. You're seeing me like trying to cook up all these things. You're hearing the numbers that are being thrown around. And I'm like, Belky, I fucking need you. I need you bad. Because we started scaling. We're just anticipating that we're going to have to meet this demand. And the demand's already kicking off. So I'm starting to hire people really fast. The team, like, it's growing on these Zoom calls. And I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm like, Belky,
And you're like...
I'm drowning. I'm still going in and, like, leaving all the...
Right.
the feedback.
You couldn't do... You were spending all your time just watching Todd videos. You're like, I can't even look at MFM.
So, right. This is... What happened was I was like, Belky, can you just come on and just help me review? Because you have an eye for creativity. And I remember I was worried. I'm like, now I'm going to have to teach Belky how to use Frame. But you were like, right out of the gate. Awesome. And
wow.
it kind of like, we got our foot in the door
So
for
you,
this.
right,
But
you
we
took
had
a
to, like,
step up. You're just going to do high-level stuff. Belky, come in and review.
more
and I was
or
like,
less.
I got
that was
Dunbar,
kind of your
but
role.
okay. Yeah. Wow.
Right. But we were doing this secretly because we couldn't have David know.
Yep.
And I like, because maybe
I
he'd
would
get mad, like, why are you working on that?
I would have to sit on the side of the kitchen island that was opposite his room so I could see if he came out and switch browsers. Wow.
Right. And you were editing in Frame.
Wow.
Doing that the whole time. And we'd have Zoom calls with the team, and we had to, like, you had to be on it, but, like...
But I was always on
out.
those because it was like 5 of us, and me and Ken were on them.
Right.
It was just a catch-up, essentially, with the folks in the Philippines. It wasn't necessarily a smart nonsense call, but it started to morph, and it started to get really messy.
Right. Right. And I'm like, Belky, they're talking about numbers like I've never heard in my life before. I can't do this alone. I need you.
And we started going on
like,
walks.
Right. Because Crackhead...
And that's when things got really
David.
weird. That's when things got really weird.
We start talking, we're like, Belky, we could do something serious here. This could
Well,
be
because
real.
I started running out of money. David started running out of money. Dunbar was becoming a pipe dream because we were running... I was able to make some money
wasn't
myself.
ending.
COVID wasn't ending.
You had
Bars weren't
developer
opening.
issues.
We couldn't get the thing developed. And David's money problems were getting in the way of the business. So things started getting really sticky. So then David started focusing on his own stuff. And because he was focusing on his own stuff, he would like wake up late. He would wake up whenever he wanted. We weren't necessarily going to the studio. And you and I started walking in the morning. And we'd come back and he'd wake up. He'd be like, you guys went already?
Dude.
And we're like, yeah, we went already.
Oh my God, those walks, dude. It was the weirdest feeling because we both knew we're like, we got to get on this rocket ship. We've never felt this sort of pull because you were battling. You're like, how do I get product market fit? We finally got the taste of product market fit. We're like,
never seen anything like it.
People want it. It's working. It feels like it's pulling you
They're
a million miles an hour.
Begging to pay you. I'd never seen that in my life.
Right. Begging to pay us tens of thousands of dollars. And so we're on these walks, and I'm like, Belky, I need you. And you're like, I don't know, maybe I can do Dunbar at the same time as this. And I've just always been a believer, like all or nothing. So I'm like, Belky, I don't want to do that. Like, we're not going to do that. If I were to do it, you'd get less equity, and then it'd be fucking weird. And like, I don't want to do that. I want to be 50-50. Let's just fucking run at it. And we eventually decide, like, you're talking to Athena, like trying to fill her in, but like we're the only ones that are in this world. And that's a lot of like what this is now. Like the podcast is nice because people get to see at least 10% of what happens between you and I. But if they got the full picture, it'd be insane. But we have like a dozen more, 24 of these walks, just like tormented. Like, we got to shut down Dunbar. David moved here for Dunbar, but we need to act immediately.
He's running out of money because of me.
Lifetime.
You know?
Right.
So I'm like,
It's this guilt that you have.
I'm letting him down. I'm letting his brother was working for us. I'm like, he just came out to live with us for a month. I'm like, yeah, it was crazy.
So how did this end up working out? We're like, we just have to do it. Like, we needed to be heads down focused. The same way I'm like, Henry, I want you to quit. You can't do Dunbar. If you're gonna join, you gotta join, and we're just gonna like launch into it. We can't have David and his money problems and whatever he's gonna do with his life. It's like, it's a bad friend thing to do, but we have to do it because I care more about the business than my friendship with David. And that's the hard truth.
Yeah, what's interesting is, I think in all this self-development stuff we had started reading, the hardest thing to apply, especially for me, at the time, was this idea of like, you are the average of the 5 people around you, right? And these things are hard, but if you want to go the distance or you want to be around a different average of 5 people, you got to do the hard things and you got to let people go, even if they're best friends. So that's when like all this self-development stuff came to a head. And I was like, oh shit, we got to do the hardest thing they talk about. And that's
it was so fucking hard.
Up.
And it was
we
one
weren't
of those,
sleeping. I was like shaking all day. You know, it's like,
it's simultaneously the best moment of our life and the worst. It's like, what the fuck do we do? We're essentially going to ruin this person's life, at least in the short term, not like long term at all. But they clearly weren't on the same mission as us, because I told this person, David, I'm like, David, I can give you the model to train video editors. You can do what I'm doing. You can sell someone if you're ambitious enough. But he just didn't care enough. And
that's one of my lessons later on too.
Right. We had a bunch of other clients, because people are seeing these viral videos and they're asking for it too. I was talking to big people like Wave.tv, the guy there. He was the creator. They get like billions of views a month. You've probably seen their sports shit. Just talking to some big people. And I'm like, David, I could give you these clients. You could do it. Just show me that you'll learn video editing and I'll give you the people. And he was slow. And we're like, we can't have this person in our life.
By the way, there's
the conversation I had with my other friend.
This role doesn't take any specific knowledge. It's just pure hustle.
Right.
Can you review a bunch of clips? Like, you're a human being. You've got a good eye. Can you review a bunch of clips and manage a small team and make the client happy? Anybody can do that if you want to.
And so he wasn't doing it. So we're like, okay, we just got to figure out a way to just get out of this. And so we have this, I don't know, you want to describe the whole situation? Because your perspective was more important. I was just like, Belky, this is your problem. I don't mind.
No, I think it was really messy. For the sake of smart nonsense, we should probably just, at some point, like, I think you and I want to record something off the record detailing, like, because I'm forgetting what happened. It was so scarring. It was actually so scarring. This was like when people talk about like blacking out because of trauma, that's what this week felt like. So it was just a really messy co-founder
essentially, Belky called a walk. We all went on a walk together and we're like, hey, I'm going to shut Dunbar down. I've just never been on this rocket ship before. I want to join it. It's tough because David's not going to be on that rocket ship. And he's also like, I basically told him, you told him, David, we need you to move out. And if you're not going to move out, I'm going to move out. I said,
and
that
it's
personally,
so hard to understand.
He's,
he's like, well, okay.
It was
I
all
understand.
good. Like the relationship, superficially, if you didn't hear our walks in the morning, like everything's going awesome.
Oh yeah, it was completely out of the blue, which sucks. But what was so difficult to understand is like, okay, guys, I get it. I understand it, and I understand I'm not the right fit for that media thing because I don't like making videos. But why can't we all just three live together, and I'll figure out my own thing, and maybe I'll launch a little client video thing. But yeah, we can shut down Dunbar. We don't have to talk about business in between. And it's like there was just too much tension, too much stress, too many personalities. We were like, we can't even.
You got to make the hard cut. That's one thing I learned.
It's like breaking up.
You just got to break up. You can't be like go from boyfriend and girlfriend, wife to now fuck buddies. That just doesn't. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You just got to cut them entirely out of your life. And one thing before I didn't mention, but when we did make that decision, like Henry and I, like we're gonna go in on this. We applied everything we learned with the podcast, where it's like, take your goals and your anti-goals, make sure they're aligned before you get into this sort of relationship. And we went through like, this is all the ways that you joining Smart Nonsense Media would fail. Let's figure out solutions to avoid them at all costs, because we don't want to damage our friendship like it happened with David. Like, how do we avoid that? Because we're much closer than any of us were to David, so it means a lot more now. We went through that and we're like, okay, we can do this. And essentially we had that conversation. David took it how I would have taken it. It's like, wow, this is really catching me off guard. I can't move out. Like I can't. Like, what am I going to do? We're in the mindset like, no, you fucking can. We'll figure out. We'll move your shit. We'll pay for it, whatever. But he's like, that's not going to happen. He was going on a trip to LA that weekend, and we went and like, yo, we just got to cut ties today. Like
we're like, if he can't move out,
can't wait another 2 weeks. And so we just got up, got an Airbnb. We're still paying for rent. We're like, we got another month or two on rent. We're just going to go in an Airbnb, and we're not going to tell David where we are, what's happening. He knows we're in the city, but he's going to show up and the apartment's empty and his stuff's in a box. And it was really fucking fun.
That was nuts.
It's like, I still hearing that. It's like, there's better ways to handle it at the time. And even now, I don't know if, I think we made the right decision. With a lot of things, it's like, yeah, probably could have handled it better, but like, I'm okay with what happened. In essence. It's just tough. So we were in the Airbnb.
I do remember. So 2 things. One, we put that Airbnb on credit cards, which was crazy. We'll talk about that. But I also remember, like, once we moved out, there was this huge weight off our shoulder. That's when it was like, oh, letting go of people, as like terrible as it was, it was the right decision to have made then, and it was immediately apparent. It was like, now we can hustle. Okay.
A couple things I want to get into this, but that's happened several times with clients, both say with Todd later on and with what's happening with our company right now. It's kind of a similar feeling, but it's like this weight is off our shoulders. So what the crazy thing is, we move into this Airbnb. We're kind of like mentally rich. So we're paying, I think, $5,500. I think it's $5,500 a month for this place.
All furnished,
plus rent at
cable,
our other place.
Wi-Fi. So we completely switched spectrums. Went to the other end of the spectrum.
Nothing is set in stone. Like
Nothing changed.
We don't know the amount of money we're gonna get. Henry charged us to his credit card because mine didn't have a limit high enough. And we're like, we hope HubSpot comes through.
It was another. I'm gonna put 3 months of this place on my credit card. We better figure it the fuck out.
Right.
We better put that pressure on and make that money. You know, we need to make 15 grand or whatever it was.
I like that, dude. I'm such a fan. That's why I'm kind of like, I like living above our means in a lot of cases, because you just got to figure it the fuck out, because you kind of like that lifestyle, and you're like, how do I keep that? Pros and cons, but we kind of went for that, and still do. But luckily Sam was like, "Yo,
Not
let's
the
just do
material
$30,000."
shit, right? We want the luxury experiential shit.
Yeah.
You know, you want to fly first class and go on the $10,000 Galapagos thing. Like, we don't need sunglasses and cars. We still actually, yeah. It's
I
nice
did buy
not having a car.
$200 sunglasses recently.
There he is. There he is.
But it's so awesome because I love that feeling now. It's like I see those, I'm like, "Yo, Issa, you like those?" She's like, "I love them." I'm like, "Okay."
I
and just walk out.
love them.
Me encanta. So basically, we take
that
this huge
sucks.
risk. We
sucks so
destroy a
bad.
friendship. It's still destroyed to this day. We don't know where this
Haven't
person
talked.
is. We just hear from friends. It's really fucking tough. That it is what it is.
Because we were really good friends. The three of us living together and his brother was so fucking fun. It's like
I've never had
impossible
more
to
fun.
state. It was
Never
so
had more
fun.
fun.
And we haven't spoken since. It's like a relationship.
So luckily, like, we're fucking sweating bullets. Sam finally okays 30 grand, and then the craziest day of my life is when I see a wire transfer hit this literally this company I started like a week earlier. I started, like, Sam was like, "Let's do 30,000." I was in the attorney, the accountant's office, like, "Smart Nonsense Media LLC, open up the bank account like today, please." $30,000 hits the bank account, and I'm like, "Oh my god, thank God," because I was paying for essentially like a team. I don't know how many it was, like 6 or 10 people, all full time, out of my own savings from Todd. Todd was late on payments. You were on the credit card. We had zero money. This 30 grand hits. We're stoked, but that just paid for all the shit.
I know.
That's like,
I'm like,
we're still broke.
I'm like, Henry, this, okay, a credit card, it's just a loan. It's just a loan with a high interest rate, a pretty high APR, but that's
You
because
were
it's so accessible. You're going to be okay. It's just a loan. I'm like, fuck
The
it,
listener
let's go.
doesn't know. Probably in that rooftop episode, I know you mentioned it. Like, who's paying for it? I guess Chase. It's like, y'all don't realize, but Henry was charging so much shit to your credit card, and like, I'll figure it out. And it was like,
I'm like, if I get hit with an APR, I'll pay the minimum amount. It's just a 20% interest. Like, that's an investment. All right, it's just
I was like,
an investment.
Thanks for investing.
You gotta
I think
be
you need more
crazy.
equity.
Like, yeah, most people don't do that. Don't do that. You're gonna think it's fake money. If you can, though, it is a nice investment. You gotta have
worked
enough
out.
drive.
I don't know. I don't want to give you financial advice, but in our
How
case,
about that?
because we hustle, we made it work. But essentially, we're still broke after $30,000. Believe it or not, we're still broke, and that paid for like existing stuff, and then we also have expenses for that month. So we're broke coming into the next month. We happened, because our team was so big and just focused on My First Million, we happened to produce $35,000 worth of content that month.
We went over.
So the next month, we actually went over, which at the time is sick because we're like, oh, we're going to invoice them $35,000 for this month coming into May. May, it's $35,000. The problem is we send this invoice, and they're like, HubSpot is like, what the fuck? Sam, $35,000?
They just acquired
What
that
the
podcast.
fuck? We just get this podcast, and we're seeing line items for $35,000 for clips. And keep in mind, they're not posting half of our clips, and most of our clips on average are performing worse because it's losing that little like aura of
Novelty.
Oh, this is something new, novelty, right? So we're sweating because we're like, these are performing worse. We're also sweating because none of them are posting. Like in the beginning, Sam and Sean were posting everything, and it was doing super well because they were engaged. Now they're like, okay, they're losing the novelty. So everyone's losing the novelty, and we're charging them more.
Except
Like,
us. We're
what
getting
the
more
fuck's going
stoked.
on?
We're getting more
so-
stoked. Hiring more.
We're hiring like a machine because the problem that we had, it was a cash flow problem. And we talked about this, like Schrodinger's cash. Like, are we rich or are we poor? We were poor. Because send money to team. Well, so much for that.
We had this. We were rich in our minds.
No,
we subscribed to
dude.
this Naval mindset of we're $5,000 an hour. We're sick.
Fucking AirPods.
You can't hear me. So we've got Schrodinger's cash, right? So we've subscribed to this Naval mindset where like we're $5,000 an hour. We can hustle. We can build and sell anything if we try hard enough. But also we're like tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt. So it's like, what are we? In mentality, we're millionaires. on paper, we're bankrupt.
Right. And they're sick of our shit. And so we have this trip planned, a couple things planned. One, we're on top of the world, so we want to blitz all in. Take the same sort of strategy that we had where we're going to produce content for free for our other favorite podcast, the All In podcast. Chamath Palihapitiya, Jason Calacanis, David Sachs, and David Freeberg. Almost had it. But we kind of, I don't know, the dates always confuse me, but we're basically starting the blitz right as we're going to New York. And we happen to get a text from Sean Puri. He's like, hey, y'all ever hear of Hassan Minhaj? And we're like, yeah, the guy from like The Daily Show and really fucking cool celebrity. He's like, yeah, he wants to work with you. I'm like, huh. So we're going to New York and to see some friends. And that original blitz of My First Million coincided with one of our friends from St. Louis coming to visit, and we had to ignore him the whole time because we had the craziest shit of our life happening. So
Right, and he's like, wait, you guys work on the weekend? And we're like, we're founders now. We work when we have to. This weekend, sorry, but we have to.
Right. So I guess he moved to New York at this time. So he just moved. And
Poor bastard.
we go and we're like, oh, we're going to have to fucking do the same shit because we're blitzing all in the same weekend we happen to be going there. And then
Had to do it.
we get to New York, and I think at this point, All In Podcast, like we started releasing some of the videos, and they were intrigued. We were maybe halfway through the blitz or something like that.
Right, so the goal was that week we're going to blitz all in. There's 4 hosts, so Henry's going to put out 4 crazy vlogs, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, targeting each of them and their problems directly or whatever.
And then on Friday,
when they've Friday when their podcast goes live at like midnight, we're gonna chop it up and have clips like 10 hours later. We're gonna get the team to work on weekends. So we're rolling out the vlogs. We fly to New York on Wednesday, so 2 vlogs had gone out. We're stoked. We got their attention. We got Jason's attention. He's like, I don't know what you guys want, but I'll hire you.
And the rest of them are.
And then we
pretty
have
much
to work.
ignoring us. I think this was like Thursday or Friday. I forget when did we have that meeting with HubSpot with Scott. It might have been Thursday.
Wednesday or Thursday during the day
Right.
because we were working at ISIS.
Right. Let's call it Thursday. So we're like midway through this blitz with All In. And Scott's like, hey guys, can we get on the phone? No real agenda. Him and Alex, who's the marketing guy there at the time. And we're like, yeah, like, sure. And then maybe 5 minutes before the call, I'm actually working with Todd, I think, at the time. Oh, fuck, I was so hands-on with Todd stuff. I was on a call or something, and then Alex sends a little preview. He's like, hey, we're going to talk about, like, budget, strategy, all this stuff. I'm like, wow, we're really, like, I wish you'd told us beforehand. And we get on the call, and Scott's like, pretty much right out of the gate, he's like, hey, guys, HubSpot, we saw that line item of $35,000. They freaked out. We got to cut the budget down to $10 to $15,000.
10 to 15
10 to 15
is what we should be spending.
And put yourself in our shoes. At the time, we had no real other clients, nothing secure. We kind of like took this one little odd job that was like $5,000, but we're basically broke on $35,000. Like we needed that money. We didn't.
I've just shut down my unicorn. I've got $30,000 in credit card debt.
Right. And
that we needed that money.
We now have a team of maybe 15 people at this point, at least $25,000. Yeah, because when we did the math, of like, okay, HubSpot cuts their budget down to 10. Let's call it 15. Just be generous. Call it 15,000. If they're paying 15,000 for this, we have Todd, which is like 7,000. That's 22,000. That's all we have, and that was literally the cost of our team. Not paying ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we scaled up to HubSpot because Sam told us, oh, we want $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 worth of content. We're like, okay, we got to start hiring now to scale to meet that, because that's the thing. You can't just like buy more stuff because it's software and it scales beautifully. No, we got to go to the fucking Philippines and hire people to edit this stuff. So it's absolute chaos, and we're like, we're going to be broke. Scott just fucked us, and we're tweaking out. We have nothing to do. We had no contracts in place. Scott was like, you guys are clowns. You should have a contract. Like, this is...
Was it this episode we were talking about emotions?
Yeah.
Or was that last
It
episode?
was this episode.
All right, people subscribed,
2
so
minutes
that
ago,
they heard
I
it
just
anyway.
swore at the camera.
Yeah, right. So you asked, like, do I ever get emotional? That's you. And we both just sat in that call and we listened. And then we turned to each other. We hung up that call. We turned to each other and we're like, we got to go for a walk. We just got to let it breathe.
Let it breathe.
Like, we've got a call with Hassan Minhaj in 1 hour. We just got the worst news we could have ever gotten. We're not going to, like, snap. It's like, we're not going to.
It was the news that made me think we have to fire our whole team. That's
right.
effectively, we're going to be broke. We can't pay.
But instead, it's
never
like,
been like,
what's funny is my co-founders at Dunbar, we would spend an hour with, like, dizzying emotion, just, like, yelling and, like, how, I don't know, but, like, we just went for a walk. We're like, there is a problem. Now we need to figure it out. That's it. That's all there is to do.
dude, that was such a fucking scary walk. So we come back and we're like, okay, the business might, and we're not telling our friends anything. They have no idea. It's really hard for the outside world to understand us, and it's just funny. That's why I'm glad we're on the journey together, because at least you understand me and I understand you. But we come back. We have this Zoom with Hassan. He's in California at the time. We get on. He answers on his phone. Super personable, like super fun guy. We're like, we want to work together somehow. He's like, I just want to, like, create this mixtape, and we're gonna, like, turn it into this Drake concert in the future, but let's just, like, rip the mixtape together. We're like, awesome. We're actually in New York. I don't know, are you coming back here? He's like, oh, are you guys going to be there on Sunday? Because I'll be in. We can grab breakfast and, like, talk about this. So we're like, yeah, let's rip it. We're excited. We're like, okay, we just got the worst news of our lives. Now there's a celebrity that wants to potentially work with us. We don't know if he's going to be like, y'all do clips. How about $4,000?
Well, wait, we're also like, we've worked all weekend. We can't meet with him on Sunday. What are our friends going to think? We're like, we got to push this to Monday. I don't know if we pushed our flights or something, but we're like, okay, we flew out here for our friends. We have worked on all weekend. We can't also meet with Hassan on Sunday. Our friends won't understand. Right. They will not understand why we have to do that.
So basically what happens, we meet with Hassan. Awesome breakfast in New York. We had to keep it secret. We were doing, like, secret vlogs and stuff. But it was so cool. And he's like, we didn't even talk about terms then, actually. We got back, and I think we talked about them later. But it turns out he was willing to pay he said $10,000 to $15,000 a month. And we're like, well, if you want to do it right, it should be 15. And that basically bought us at least another month of runway. Because we're like, okay, we lost 15, we made back 15. We're not going to starve. Like, at least we can pay our team. That's what we got to. And we got in this point, because of these cash flow issues, we were in this, like, we just got to take any job we can to survive. It was just pure survival at that point. A lot of stress. This was like the fun, not fun. It was, oh my God, All In recognized us. Chamath retweeted us. Oh my God. And then, oh, we cut your budget in half. You might die tomorrow. Like,
right. So now it's like, well, we can't even we just blitzed All In. We can't even afford to do their stuff for free.
Right.
Oh, but then Hassan calls. Oh, we can.
And
then
our thing was like, because we're doing all this free content, because we didn't have a portfolio, we're taking on all these cash flow risks of, we needed HubSpot to pay us a lot of money. They paid us halfway through the month. A couple months were late, and it was like, oh, fucking hell, dude. Todd's been late forever, so there wasn't any guaranteed money there. It was just like me looking at the calendar and be like, we have to get paid by here, or we're not going to hit payroll. And it was fucking, dude, it was brutal.
Did you know I went to the bank? I was trying to get...
Oh, we were trying to get loans.
Yeah, we were trying to get loans.
I still get emails from them.
I was actually like...
Money.
Yeah,
Oh
same.
God,
they offered me like $75,000 most days.
This was...
Yeah, I went to the bank. I was like, fuck, I need a year of cash to live. Like, Dylan and I are funding this business. We can keep everyone, but I need to go something.
Right.
And it didn't end up happening.
Yeah, this was for months, too, because we were basically, like, always on the verge, because we have to scale the team, but we were always accepting money, like, late, halfway through the month, at the end of the month. Todd was like, everybody was late. We're trying to be, like, just finding cash where we could, because we're just like, we got to keep this alive. There's product market fit. Like, why is this such a struggle? Also, at the same time, our other idol, Naval Ravikant, his right-hand man, Nivi, he reaches out to us. He's like, can you guys do an edit for us? Because I love your stuff. I must have seen All In Blitz. and we're like, yeah, we cook up some Naval stuff. And we're like, oh my God, we might work with Naval. We shoot it over their way, and they're like, it's just not on brand. Like, I can pay you guys for this, but like, we don't want to go forward. I'm like, like, just, it's like the biggest blue balls left and right. All in, they end up taking a liking, but they're not going to pay for it. They're basically like,
they have such committed fans. It's like,
there's no need
do
to.
shit for the All In podcast, and we'll give you distribution,
Clout.
You know,
And
ride
Henry
our
was-
coattails, but
I-
like clout, yeah.
It was incredible. Henry was getting dropped on almost every podcast. Still to this day, they mention you for clips.
To this day, which is
It's phenomenal. It's like, how do you hack into billionaires, the most powerful people in Silicon Valley? We just happen to do it with an amazing blitz.
yeah. So people reach out to my brother. They're like, "Dude, does your brother know the All In guys? I was listening to this All In podcast, and we've actually gotten work through that. That was
Right.
looped.
Well, in theory.
way back when.
But nothing came directly from that. But David Sachs actually said, "Oh, I'm incubating this startup, Call-In, and we need a video for it. Can you do it?" I'm like, "Of course, we always do these videos." Meanwhile, we've never done something like it before. We're like, "Oh well,
Hassan's project is ending. We're running out of cash.
we're running out of cash. We need it." We're like, "Sure, we'll fucking do it." Normally for this video, we charge like $5,000 to $10,000, depending on how intensive it is. We had no idea. We're just making up numbers.
Well, I remember being like, "Dude, if we charge $10,000 for this, we can finally split it. We can finally pay ourselves. That's profit this month. We can pay ourselves $5,000."
But what we realized, we took that on, and we're like, another project too we took on, it was like doing some electricity stuff for fucking
Real simple energy.
it was like
That
the
was
production side of things. It was a learning experience, but we were hating life. Like, life was fun, but then
We were
there'd just be
directors.
the days where you dread because you didn't know what to do. Any project without a deadline sucks. Belky, we might I'm losing my voice. We might never get to the fucking vision.
The vision.
Um,
Yes, dude. If we don't get to the vision, we get to record another podcast.
Yes!
Yes, dude.
Okay. So
More
we're doing
episodes.
all these odd jobs. Hey, can you just talk for like a minute?
Can I
I'm gonna
what?
fill water.
All right, look, folks. Dylan, you've been being a great host to this podcast, and I'm glad because, fuck, my timeline died eons ago. Colin, all right. Rude Awakening. No deadline. We get to version 30 of their ad. We're like, we don't do ads.
Version
We did this because we
30. That's not an exaggeration. It's
not.
It's fucking terrible. We threw Chris in. We're like, "Chris, just make this cool." One of our awesome animators. He was overwhelmed. He was pulling his hair out. Everyone involved was hating it.
Dude, you know what? You know what was my favorite cut of that ad? Version 3. I remember it. Dirty little version 3. And so the problem was when we started noticing there are too many cooks in the kitchen at Colin. We had one email chain with the CTO and David Sachs. And David Sachs wants some video. And then David introduced us to the new CMO. And she wants a completely different video. Oh, and then the COO of David's fund, well, she wants a different video. And so we're just, when you try to please everyone, we can't get a product out that pleases anybody.
Right. And the other problem was there was no firm deadline. Supposedly there was when we started the project. They're like, we're going to launch on, I don't know, June 15th, whatever the date was.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, awesome. We're just shooting for that day. And then technically they couldn't finish and launch for then. So they had to push it back like 2 weeks, then a month, then another month. And it was like this ongoing process. And then every time it's pushed back, a lot is changing during that month. So like, oh, the branding is no longer relevant, or this feature doesn't work that way, or this person's no longer involved. It's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, at a certain point, we're like, we just can't do this anymore. Take it, hire your own team. Here's all the footage. Guess what? Video never got released. That's what happens when you get to V30 of anything. Just dies.
Yeah.
Anything beyond V4 is gonna die. Fuck you. Okay, don't get emotional. Yes, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
A couple things. So basically, while this period of us being sluts, taking money from everywhere, literally renting out our bodies, it was like 3 or 4 different clients that had different needs, and one of them we're still kind of working with. We're still unloading actively. Another one we're also unloading. I guess they're like 6-month contracts, but YouTube based. We just took them on for the money. We didn't really know what to quote, but come late August, we realized a problem. Two problems. One, we were trying to figure out a model that worked for everyone because we were charging like $700 for a clip still or something like that. But then we'd have odd projects, or we want to do a YouTube channel. I don't need 2-minute videos. I need 15-minute videos. What do we do there? So we're trying to figure out a model that makes sense. And we also have these cash flow problems, and we're like, we want to avoid that at all costs forever. Your brother, Jack, he's like, you guys can't model shit. Like, you want me to join your company, but how do I know you're not going to be broke in a month? And they're like, that's a great question. We kind of are. So we're probably doing, I don't know, 40 or so grand at this point, and we have verbal commitments to get that up to like 60 grand essentially, with a lot of other people like Mick Maples, who's kind of in the loop, Lux is kind of in the loop, a couple of venture capitalists,
which was just trying to get to break even.
Mm-hmm. Right, we're at like maybe 35,000 a month. None of these were like contracts yet, but we're starting to make a little bit of profit, which is nice. But we're still having cash flow issues. So, end of August, we come and we're like, let's rethink how we price. We're gonna price by the minute of clip. If it's animated, that is $750. If it's YouTube, that's $500. And then
wait, right before that, I think didn't Colin drive us to productize? We're like, we can't do everything. You know what? We thought we could do ads, we can't. We need to set expectations straight with our clients. Otherwise, we'll be an agency forever.
That's the yes, dude. Like every problem is, oh fuck yeah, this is amazing. I'm glad we learned this earlier. Like I'm glad we learned this today, because if we learned this 2 months, we'd be dead.
Yeah, that is what happened. Because then we write this rule book to set the expectations straight, and we're like, this is social media. You're not Scorsese.
Oh, that was the rule book.
That's exactly. We were so mad. Mm-hmm. We were so mad, and we took that anger, that frustration in that sense, and committed it to action. We're like, never again. We're never doing that again. Put it in stone.
Right.
And that's when we wrote the rule book.
Also, right around that time, I fired Todd officially. We unloaded him. It's always like leave the person better than you found them sort of mentality. Like we try and make it win-win.
He didn't fit the rule book.
He didn't fit the rule book.
He was also getting into version 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, never releasing stuff.
Still to this day.
We're like, that's an anti-goal. Yeah, we don't want that.
You never want that. What's interesting, and we've got to avoid that with our new project, but what's interesting is for him, I'm like, our models are weird. Just take this editor. You work with them. I don't want to oversee that. Now we're kind of circling back to that. But
how about that?
Did that for Todd, fired him.
Is he still with that editor?
I have no idea. I assume so. They need to hire another one, so I don't know if they're scaling or what's going on. But
okay.
So we set the rule book. We're like, hey, you're going to pay quarterly up front. So we're going to collect, if we're doing $15,000 a month retainers, that's 45 grand up front, another 45 in 3 months. That guarantees we have no cash flow issues, which is amazing. And we also have all these other like pricing terms, and it's very clear what happens. We send this out to what is now our 4 clients. So that's Darmesh, Onchain, which is a crypto podcast, Hustle, which was 15 at the time. MFM was still involved?
Well,
this is where it started breaking
what's
down.
Interesting,
I got the timeline.
What's interesting is we put that out. It was such a smashing success because the expectations were so clear. The price was right.
Also, keep in mind before this, we had nothing to send anyone because we don't have a website. We don't have anything. So people DM us. They're like, yo, what does this cost? We're always like $15K. And like, what do I get for that?
Yeah.
And it's like, we just got to put something up somewhere.
Right. So we were typing up one-off emails that broke down what they would get for 15 grand or something. Now it's like, just send them the rule book. Just send them the rule book. It's all in the rule book. And we got so much demand from that. We got hot. We're like, oh, this is worth way more than 15 grand.
Right.
Our minimum retainer should be 25 grand because we need to weed people out.
Right. Oh, we went up to 25
for
grand a month. Oh, that was interesting.
For Maples.
Right. And what was funny was we got the pushback of, I'm paying more than 25 grand. I'm actually paying 30 grand right now. But I just don't, given your model, have that much content. Which I think we had that conversation later on. But it was interesting. Just the point is we're playing constantly with prices, with models, with everything. Just trying to get to where's the model that works? And that's why I'm so excited, because we kind of got to that fundamental law of physics in my mind for a model that works, or at least I like it better than any model.
Hey, it's
before.
coming. Hang with us. It's coming.
So we send out this rule book, and funny enough, a lot of our clients are on board except for one, and it's our original client. It is the My First Million Hustle HubSpot team. It's like, yo, guys, you're really taking us off guard. I kind of expected it from them, like, given kind of who they are as people now. They're like very corporate and structured, and like, this isn't how you do things in the corporate world. It's like, yeah, we're just fucking crazy people on the internet. Like, that's who we are. So we throw it at them. Belky's in Iceland at the time when this is all hitting. I freak out on Sam because they wanted some quick turnaround
This
project.
is September of 21.
We just realized we're like trying to do everything, and we're like,
No, okay, so what happened is we talked to Shane Mack. He's like, what are you guys doing? And we're like, we don't know. He's like,
oh my god,
this thing, it sounds, I guess we launched V1 of Clipped.
I
right?
forgot.
But
It reminded me of Clipped.
Right. So, but he's like, you guys, if what's happening, like, you're telling people you do short form, they're going to see that, they're going to want the 3-minute video. And the people that want the 3-minute video are going to want a 10-minute YouTube video. And the people who want the 10-minute YouTube video are going to want you to cut their 3-hour podcast.
Right.
And we're like, that is exactly what's happening.
Right.
We got to shrink this down to one thing.
Right. Which,
We need to make that a religion.
hey, easy. You jumped over a couple things. But basically,
I know.
we pissed off HubSpot because we're a little bit douchey. We're kind of like how I can be sometimes. Henry was gone, so this is on me, essentially. We lost him, but they still wanted to. We lost the podcast, which birthed us. But for some reason, like, the podcast should have been the thing that we only do versus what they're doing now. But basically, they dropped us down to 10K. It's just like, oh, it's another HubSpot thing, whatever. But we realized we don't want to be in the game of agency. Agency forever has just been like a short-term thing. How do we make cash? How do we find product market fit? But we're aware of how to scale. And scaling
Also, sorry, finish.
scaling this way sucks. It's like the ways to scale, there are 4. So people is number 1. That's like the traditional way. You would have a factory, hire a bunch of people, you would scale that way. Number 2 is capital. So you can get a bunch of money, manage it for people. It scales nicely because people can give you more money, but you're still going to invest it probably the same way. Then there's media, which we're kind of doing with this podcast, but no one's listening, so it doesn't make sense. We're producing media for people, but they're getting all the benefits. We're also getting some like secondary distribution benefits by having our names attached, which is kind of nice. But at the end of the day,
We're still at their service.
well, we only make money, like we make money off of our labor. So it's still not in that realm. And then the last one, which is probably the best, is code, which is you write the software, and it just produces. It's the robot that is on a data center doing all the work for you. That's the dream. That's the ideal one. So we've been trying to move in that direction and figure out how do we get out of editing these YouTube videos, these launch videos, these everything. Let's just create a product. And that's where Clipped came in.
Yeah, what I wanted to say really quick is we record all this shit. All of this stuff, like you're saying there's this falling out with My First Million. Like, that's recorded. Go back and listen. All of this stuff is recorded.
Right.
It's just interesting to bring it all back here.
Well, okay. So we launched
Clipped V1.
Clipped V1, which in our mind, Henry mentioned it, it was like charging by the second. We're like, oh, I get brain blasts
Let's make this objective.
every few months. We wanted to take the Rev model, which is have just a bunch of amazing transcribers in their case, in our case, editors, behind the scenes. You just order a Clipped, and we produce it, send it right back to you, and charge you by the second video. What we realized is some people have videos that aren't worth shit. Some have videos like a Super Bowl ad that are worth millions. It's like, why would that be the same price? Shane Mack told us, like, yo, guys, you got to fucking dissociate this. We did get a couple sales, but it clearly wasn't the same product market fit we got before with the My First Million podcast and all that energy. Even though we weren't making money, we weren't profitable. That's just because our business model was shit.
You know what's interesting, though? I think we gave up on it in like 2 days.
Right.
What's interesting, like, we did get people paying for it, and we didn't have to ask very hard. And they came back without us asking again. So it's like, there is a world in which that thing worked. Most of the stuff is just like, do you keep at it? Do you keep iterating? Do you keep talking to customers? Do you stay in the game long?
Right.
We just folded those
It
cards.
was
It
enough
didn't feel
that there's
right.
something
and
here
Shane said it wasn't right.
that people are willing to take a bet on us, but this isn't the scalable model. So we basically dropped that for a little bit. And then one thing that we realized, we had this new editor come on the team, Nico. We're probably at about 30 people or so at this point, maybe doing 60,000 a month. Nico comes on.
Team starts hiring itself, right? So now we don't know the people joining the company,
Frightening.
which was crazy.
Frightening feeling.
Crazy
There were a
frame
couple
shift.
pivotal moments. One was early in the spring, let's call it April, when we got on a Zoom call and it was like 12 people, and I'm like, what the fuck are we responsible for? This is freaky. I did not sign up for this. Within a month, we were massive. Now we're 3 times the size. I don't know some of the faces in the room. I'm pronouncing their names wrong. It's frightening. I also didn't sign up to be a CEO of like a large company, so I'm like, I don't want to be here. But it's fun. It's fun.
Right,
but
you're
again,
very
I dread
so
it.
okay, wait. Our difference, right? For a long time, I don't think it is anymore. For a long time, you were like, I want to make a lifestyle business. And I was like, I want to build the thing that I can exit and never work another day in my life. So for you, like working for Todd, making, I don't know, 150 grand a year, you're good. You're chilling. That's it. That's it. I'm like, I need a 10, 20, $100 million exit so that my great grandchildren never work and I can fund the next thing.
I know. We're on the same page now.
Anyway, well, what's funny is I've become more lifestyle. I think you've become more. But anyway.
Look at that. I'm happy with the $10 million exit.
Yeah, we should make out. What?
Hey, I know you're tired. Okay, we're gonna get to the fucking fun part. Naval.
I'm having fun.
We circle back.
Yes, dude.
Yes, dude. We come back, and Nico, we actually come to AJ, and we're like, AJ, remember that guy Naval a while back who was kind of in the loop, but we edited his content. He didn't like it. We tried to tell the team, like, yo, just copy Visualize Value or some, like, sleek, elegant style like it and apply it. And they all just, like, weren't seeing the vision. We get this guy, Nico, we have AJ. I tell AJ, can you work on this? He was maybe busy, and he talked to this new guy, Nico. And he's like, yo, Dylan, you know Nico actually used to teach people how to edit videos like Visualize Value? I'm like, what? What you say?
I told you, dude. Nico knew what Route 66 was.
Nico's a fucking
that dude.
legend. He's a beast. And so awesomeness ensues. Basically, we give him a productize yourself video. He turns it into something amazing. It's perfect. It's literally fucking perfect right out of the box because he's been teaching people this. We send it to Nivi, Naval. They kind of didn't respond for maybe a week or so. I was nervous. I'm like, do we double ping them?
Did you send it?
No, maybe you did because they reached out to you first. I should say we sent it.
What, out of the blue? Like, hey, we've just been playing around and now we have this new cut?
Yeah, like,
Damn.
It was weird because it was almost a 6-month hiatus. It's like, hey,
Damn.
we circled back. We tried this new look. What do you think? Nothing for 7 days. We're like, fuck, we really liked it. I wanted to work with them. And out of nowhere, he's like, love it. Got a group chat. Can I add you?
Oh.
Essentially that.
Okay, we're back. Oh, you sent this. You sent this. I was in Iceland. You had my login. You know how I know you sent it? There's a this emoji. And I never do this emoji.
Yes, dude.
Dude, Nivi, we're back. We've been working on cracking the code for Naval vids. As you said, we want to keep the focus on the message, not Naval or the animation. Here are a few samples. This is September 10th. Here are a few samples based off the minimalist Visualize Value. Look, let me know what y'all think. Note, they're loopable. 8 days later. Yeah, he must have hit me up. I'm like, why did Nivi just DM me out of the blue? And then I'm like, oh, because Pop's been in my Twitter. How about that?
Yes.
So that's when he's not that excited. Yo, dude, what's your cell? I want to add you to a WhatsApp group if that's cool. And then we were in the group.
Well, that was cool.
Oh,
for
and
us.
we didn't know what the group was.
It was top secret.
Yeah, it was cool for
Operation
us.
Blackbriar.
Oh, Naval said that it is, quote, super cool. I will add both of you.
Which we never
And we're
heard
like,
before.
huh.
Before we just got like not on brand. So we're stoked about this, and that was September. We start putting them out. We maybe get to like the 4th, 5th, 6th video, and it is this video about.
Wait, but Pop, I was coming back from Iceland. I didn't know what was going on. This is the first time I'd been off the grid. Amidst all of this, first time I was off the grid for almost what, 2 years? I don't know, because we'd go to Mexico and we'd work and whatnot.
I forget about that.
But we're in the WhatsApp, and it's just a bunch of numbers to me, and to you, and you're like, do you think you asked Nivy, do you think Jack Butcher would be cool with this? Someone we admire, and Nivy's like, just ask him. What do you mean? He's in the group. And you're like, is he now? And then I look over at the numbers, and I see next to one number, NAV. And I'm like, who's Knob, the social media manager? Huh?
You have a
Turns
son?
out we're in a group chat with Naval. How about that?
You got Naval's number, dude.
Which, it's like...
Oh, I forgot about another thing.
On that year off, when you're calling me, we're like, launch the podcast. All we did was talk about the 4-hour work week and Naval.
Oh my God, I forgot about
What
this
I want
massive
people
thing.
to understand, is like once you get in that group chat, nothing changes.
Nothing.
Nothing changes. It doesn't move the needle for us. It does in the opportunity sense, but it's like we're the same. We did not become happier because we were in the chat. You know, you don't become happier because you have more money. It's like it's just the next
But
thing and the next thing.
The difference is
Keep trucking.
Now kind of the timeline's kind of blurring because I'm bringing things together. But basically, Shane Mack, our would-be advisor, he's like, yo, you guys are talking to Naval, you're talking to Jack Butcher, you're talking to All-In folks, like you're talking to these amazing people. Some of them
Mike
we'll get
Maples.
into. Like, why don't you just
Lux
make
Capital.
an email list and update them? What the fuck's going on? They're going to be invested in your journey. I'm like, oh, that's a really good idea.
That was his one and only piece of advice.
If we ever need something in the future, they've been following the journey. They love what we're doing. We're like, let's just make 60-second shareholder letters, send them out. Now they're invested. Dharmesh is there. He's a billionaire, fucking awesome CTO. Like, it's a no-brainer. So that's the benefit.
Well,
that
it's
opens up all these
funny.
opportunities.
It's a no-brainer, yes. But also, we're like, okay, we're going to do shareholder letters. And we look at some examples that Shane sends us from his portfolio companies. And we're like, we don't want to write all those words
Right.
every 2 weeks. We're like, so what's our superpower? What's our zone of genius? What could we sustainably do? Oh, we'll make a 60-second video pitch. And we'll do it that way. And we'll do it our way, you know?
Right, our specialty. And that's how we get them to watch. Because
And it's not yours, right? So you don't do them anymore.
Right, it wasn't my superpower. And I know the cool thing is when we see these videos and they have like 36 views and we're like, that's interesting. We have like 15 people on this email list, and so they're watching them possibly multiple times because they're just like, oh, I want to absorb all the
It's
nuggets.
probably my dad looking
It could be.
to make sure we can't get canceled.
Could be, but it's
4
regardless.
times.
Some of them are seeing it. It's fucking amazing, and they're invested. And they're gonna hear the emergency pod that we also shot, or you shot yesterday. Hey, we'll get to
Hey,
it.
we're getting close.
We're getting
close,
We're getting
folks.
close. We're in about October.
Yes, dude.
October 28th.
You spent so much time with us. You know us. Yes.
God. Okay, October 28th.
Hey, if you made it this far, why don't you tweet at Dylan Jardon, at Henry Belcaster? Just say, hey, I made it in the crazy
I like
episode.
Those. I like those. I heard.
Yeah, just do it. Send a rocket ship. How about that? Just a rocket ship. We'll know.
Ali
We'll know
Abdal,
exactly what you're doing.
he had one of those at an end of like a 43-minute video, and he's like, if you're still here, leave like this very specific emoji, and in the comments you see that emoji a bunch of times, and you're like, oh wow, that's kind of cool to see who's committed. So I guess it's a rocket ship. Leave a rocket ship in the YouTube video. We get no rocket ships. It's like, wow, brutal.
Oh, yeah, you could do that, too.
I don't care about rocket ships. This is the diary.
No, then we'll know.
Well, no one does.
Yeah. Yes, dude.
Okay. October. I lied. October 17th or 28th. I forget which date. They're blending together.
Come on, my brain's
I
fine.
know. Our Naval video goes viral. It's the authenticity. Be authentic
Oh.
video. It's this amazing, like 15-second video of Naval. It starts with a ladder. How to escape competition. It's like, well, a ladder. Okay, escaping something. That's brilliant to start. And it's like, to escape competition, you have to be authentic to who you are. And it morphs into DNA, like a DNA double helix. It's like,
Helix,
oh my
double
God,
helix.
that's beautiful. And
Shout out Koi. Shout out Koi.
Coy with the idea. I think Nico did the actual edit.
Yeah, Koi had the double helix,
Oh,
which I think...
No. So it started.
Yeah.
It started like competition is like, you're trapped in competition, and it gets the ladder going vertical, and it tilts on its side, and it looks like jail cells, and it's got this like 2 hands. It looks.
Hey,
like
I put those fists there. I said, Nico, give me 2 fists.
Fuck yeah, Belky.
Check the
Fuck
records.
yeah,
Check
Belky.
the records. Before it was just the bars, and you guys were like, "Oh, I love that jail thing," and I was like, "I see the jail bars, but if there's 2 hands there, and we know
that." Oh, dude, my lip hurts so much. That's why I hired you to be in frame.
How about
putting
that?
those comments in? Worthwhile.
It would have done just as well without him. I think that's to the point, like, it's all bullshit and you don't know what's going to work.
Right.
I probably didn't think this was going to be our 1 million view clip, but, like,
Right. It's probably
with or without those fists, it's, hey, it just needed to get done and get out. Like, that was more important than the
It
fists.
did. And
whatever.
I thought it was just a standard video. Naval loved it. He wanted to tweet it himself. Actually, I got access to Naval's Twitter. I don't know if I still have it, but I might still have it. That's dangerous. I have access to his Instagram and everything. But it was crazy getting that. Basically, it went viral. 1.5 million people have probably seen it by now. The crazy thing is the DMs that come out of that. The first one is Amar from Yes Theory. One of our idols. Like, I wear Seek Discomfort all the time. Actually, probably should have worn it today. But it's like...
That's why he reached out, he said. He saw your Instagram and saw your most recent photo was a picture of you with a Seek Discomfort sweatshirt.
Right. Literally my last photo.
He's like,
So we get on, we talk to him, and he's like, let's see if we can work together. Then at the same time, we get a DM from this one person. I'm like, this guy that supposedly runs like
Luca?
Westbrook something. I'm like, what's Westbrook? He's like, he wants to talk about videos. Get on the phone with him. And he's like, yeah, well, I don't know if you know about Westbrook, but we basically, or he said this in email, we do Will Smith content. For like most of what we do is Will Smith's content. He's got a book drop.
His whole
coming out.
family.
Yeah, his whole family, along with a lot of other celebrities that are connected. And he would like y'all to do some of the clips like you did for Naval for his book audio, his audiobook, his book audio. I'm like, oh my God. And he throws out a number. He throws out like, we'd ideally like to pay less than 40 grand for 10 clips. I'm like,
oh, and we had productized at this point. We narrowed down after a lot of fogginess.
No.
We had one package. It was 10 for 10. Yeah, and we were like, that actually fits. That one-off project fits, so we'll make an exception.
Yeah, it was right around the same time, basically.
Same time.
Right. So that, along with Ali Abdal. So all these people, along with probably
okay.
more.
So here's what happened. It happened on the literally on the podcast. Usually we don't brainstorm on the podcast. We come up with 10 for 10.
Right.
10 clips a month, $10,000 a month. Thank you to Shane Mack mostly, and then Yuri. Like, it's just a no-brainer. 10 big ideas for $10,000. It was a no-brainer. It sold like hotcakes. We blitzed Synthesis. Sold.
You
we
gotta-
blitzed Ali Abdal. Sold.
50,000
Synthesis actually went viral.
Right, that was 50,000 plus probably. I don't even know. And that's just Henry's face on Henry's account. It's insane. And then there was 10,
that was finally like media working.
Ollie had 10,000 on that one too. And
So, okay, 10 for 10 works.
well, we went from
That
$60,000
week-
in revenue, and this is recurring. So like not including like the Will Smith project or anything like that came later on. We essentially doubled overnight. We pretty much sold out 10 for 10 with people like, I want this, and they already bought it. I'm like, oh my
That's
God.
when I believe that is when we started taking a legitimate salary.
Right. That's when we switched to, okay, we're going to
We're
pay
like-
ourselves $8,000 a month, and then we'll split whatever is left over, but we want to keep 3 months burn, which is 50 grand times 3 at this point, which is 150 in the bank. And then,
Hey, easy with the math this late in the game.
yeah.
That was a crazy week, right? Okay, so we closed Synthesis. 10 for 10's working. We can pay ourselves. We close Ali Abdal effectively. We talk to Amar from Yes Theory. Will Smith comes knocking on the door. We'll get into Will Smith in a second, but what we learned here is this hedonic thing, this dopamine thing, where you found it, and Andrew Wilkinson was talking about it on MFM. But the drug dopamine in your brain is like, it will peak at some level, and to offset that peak of dopamine, it will crash to some trough. And so the week after that was so freaking dark.
Dude,
I don't remember why, but it's like the dopamine.
A lot
it's crazy
of dark
and then
days.
it sucks. It's crazy and it sucks.
and it's Well, fuck it. Well, jeez, my brain's not. I don't know how like Tim Ferriss or Joe Rogan does like 3-hour podcasts every day. It's fucking incredible. But so basically,
I think they're slower. It's the recollecting of facts. This is why I'm like brain firing. Like
right.
recollecting these facts is a lot of thought.
I like when you say recollecting instead of remembering. It's always nice.
We're recollecting facts and utilizing them to talk.
Hey, you know my pet peeves. So
Will Smith.
One thing we realized, they're an agency.
Fits.
They're what normal people would be like. Oh, that's success. They're working with celebrities. That's awesome. Turns out that life sucks. You don't want to be in Hollywood. All those people are running around coked out all the time, just like, I don't want to say they're on coke, but like they have that energy of like scrambling ASAP, texting. They're not in the same platform. They're all like async. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. It's like, what the fuck, guys?
Right.
And that was
so I think we realized two things.
Yeah.
Right. We realized two things. One, even though this is Will Smith and like we want to work with these people, that was the goal. This will be the absolute last one-off project we work on.
Right.
Because it was chaos in the team.
Right.
Other projects were sliding, other 10 for 10s. We weren't able to meet synthesis. We couldn't get editors for Ali Abdaal. We're like, never again. The second thing, we're like, holy shit, that's what an agency looks like in 10 years? The way they're acting and like behaving ASAP, all these threads, like disaster. That's an agency?
Right.
We're like, we can't be an agency. We can't.
And what's funny is, for example, Sahil Bloom, who hit us up the other day, we had a call with them. They didn't see our rule book. They came in. It was like a comparison call versus what is it? Choice. Jesus, man.
Choice.
Yeah. So you want people? They're like comparing us to other agencies. They're like, oh well, this agency.
Dude.
What?
We are going to get to the vision and not be able to do it.
I know, dude. It's like we're pitching the grandest vision ever, and the tease. We've shot so much. We did a podcast before this.
Barrel through.
Okay.
Barrel through.
Okay. So, I don't even know what the fuck I was saying a second
We're
ago.
close. We're really close.
He was comparing us to other
Sahil.
agencies, and they're like, normally they do a retainer model for strategy plus X for whatever the content produced is. I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, we used to do that. We no longer do that. We're trying to productize. We just do 10 for 10. If you want it, you want it. If you don't, you don't. They haven't seen our content, so they wouldn't want it because it sounds like a bad deal if you don't.
Dude, oh my God. That was another one where we're like, we get on this call. We're like, why was that call so terrible?
Right.
It's because we're pitching. We don't pitch.
We're bad.
The no pitch manifesto. That's how we're bad at it. Like, people sweet talk. We don't want to be making decisions and improvising on the fly. And then if we're both on a call, one of us will say something that the other might not agree with. So you always got to have a partner that you're going to talk to later. So we stop doing calls together. But anyway, we have the Sahil call, and we're like, that was only a couple weeks ago. We're like, wait a minute. People really don't understand what we do.
Right.
We were on that call, and they've never seen our content before. What are we doing?
Right.
And so that's, unless you have other items, that's when we were going to rewrite the rule book, make a website, and then we head into Clipped Media and Clipped Marketplace.
Yeah. Right before we get there, I want to say, I forget the exact date. I could probably look it up. Let me do it really quick. Tim Ferriss had a podcast with Naval and Chris Dixon. This was on October 28th. I think it dropped. Listening to that. And it's crazy because I was just listening as a fan of Tim Ferriss, and I saw Naval. I'll listen to anything with him. I didn't know Chris Dixon, but he's brilliant in the Web3 world. We're starting to get a lot of attention from Web3, so we're like, I'll pay attention. I'll learn about it. And Naval, about 29 minutes in, 30 minutes in, he's like, yeah, the beauty of Web3 is, I'm going to butcher the terms because I don't really remember, but you can compose and recompose. So say I, Naval, compose some original content, my audios. Now you can have people like Smart Nonsense come in and recompose them, and then they profit off it. I get royalties, and it's all automatic. It's all in code. Like holy fuck. I was on the couch in Miami just listening by myself. Wasn't expecting this at all. And they mentioned Smart Nonsense. Smart Nonsense.
No, you sent a link before. You're like, here's an awesome idea on Web3. Listen to this.
Right, to you and Ian.
8 minutes go by. Yeah. 8 minutes go by. You're like, what the fuck?
I'm like,
what the? Listen to this. They shouted us out. And so what nobody but you and I realize, and it doesn't translate to, no one gives a shit about this. Tim Ferriss and Naval are the reasons we're in this. They're the reasons
they're
we started
everything.
calling each other at the beginning of the pandemic. and now they're talking about us.
And what I said, actually, Mark, who I talked to yesterday, kind of giving him some advice, I was like, Mark, he asked me, what should I read? Like, any recommendations? I'm like, 2 books or two resources. One, 4-Hour Work Week. You just read that. That's like kind of gets you inspired. And the other one is the Tweet Storm, the audio from Naval's Tweet Storm or Naval Almanac, kind of the same thing. But read those 2 things. Listen to the Naval Tweet Storm if you want.
Well, you didn't say what it is. How to get
Right.
rich without getting
Thank
lucky.
How to get rich without getting lucky. It talks about all his brilliant mental models and like approach to the world. We took that, and that's pretty much everything we live by. And I'm like, just read those 2. Read them fucking half dozen times. Like, keep referring back to them because your life changes. But they're so fundamental to how we behave and how we just approach the world that those 2 people are just the most important people in my life, and I recommend them to everybody in my life.
Hey, easy. What does that make me and Issa and your mom and your dad?
You're up top 10, but no. Jesus. Okay, so they shout us out. Amazing, super high. 10 for 10 sells out immediately. We're up to 100K in revenue. That's awesome. We like crossed this $1 million threshold a little over 6 months into officially being a company.
Here's what's crazy there. Every time you and I sit down and we goal set, every time we do that and we set some deadline or something, we hit it.
Right.
And we were about to move out, and we were like, what would make us happy? It's this lifestyle thing, this, and this, no money problems, whatever. We're like, that's $100,000 a month. Then 10 for 10 comes to us. We're like, oh, we need to sell this to 4 people. We can do that.
Right.
And we did that, and it sold out, and we hit $100,000. And guess what? Nothing changed. We felt the same. We wanted more money. Like, everything was the same.
Still the best
But-
of that Sean trip.
Yeah.
That Sean trip, nothing will ever top that.
Yeah, right.
But our lives on the whole are like, I'm happier on the whole than now. But like, sort of one of the takeaways from the 4-Hour Work Week is do what excites you. Like, just find out what excites you and figure out a way to do more of that. That's why I like my life now, because it's like, for example, I was stressed on the earlier episode about not having my passport because I bought this trip to Brazil and it's costing me several $1,000s. And I'm like, well, if I can't, also go to Ecuador after. If I can't have a passport, I can't go on it. But I wasn't worried. I'm like, it's money, whatever. We have a lot of money, or in theory, it's no big deal. And I can go on these adventures, or we can go on these adventures and do these things. Like, it's a more complete life. But 10 for 10 sells out. We still want to get out of agency world. We've been thinking to hire Henry's brother, Jack Belcaster, who just had a child, also is currently working for a company that's trying to sell to a larger banking company. And we've been worried because we're kind of like 1 foot in each. We're like, we want to focus on the future, which we know is clipped marketplace, but we still have what will be Smart Nonsense, what will be clipped media.
Bastard child.
The Bastard Child, which is awesome. I don't want to treat it like it's bad. It's just like
It's
a lot
great.
of work.
Yeah, no.
Which we want to scale better. We want to move out of the people leverage into media or code, and in this case, code with the marketplace. So this gets to, I guess, Brain Blast World, unless I'm missing anything. I mean, I know I'm missing.
And I think Brain Blast was caught on Friday's episode, the last 2 episodes.
Right.
I don't even think we need to rehash them. I think we should go to the memo.
Well, what I basically
Or high level.
what I realized.
Yeah, what did you decide was the path?
Fuck my ass. I just stabbed myself with my. What the fuck, dude? Yes, dude. Oh, you can't feel happy without pain.
You
Okay.
get a moment to reflect and take a breath. Yes,
Ow,
dude.
dude.
Slow down.
I'll just summarize. Basically, we realized that if we do kind of like what we did with Todd, because we get a lot of requests for people that want our editors, our animators, and we've been transitioning. Oh, interesting. Okay, so what was happening,
interesting.
we're moving to 10 for 10. That means we have to fire our YouTube clients, like Dharmesh, like Untold, Zach. And they're like, we want to leave them better than we found them, so we're like, oh, we're going to give you some awesome animators. You hire them directly, you're going to pay less, you just have to manage them. That was working well, but I'm like, now we're in this conflict of like, I want to give you awesome animators, but we just sold out, and we have like another 5 people that want to sign up the next month, and we have a wait list. Like, this is weird.
We need
conflict.
'em.
Where can these 2 worlds merge? I'm like, well, what if we took all the responsibility off the table on our end? We are no longer an agency. We just rent out the people that we screen, vet, and train. You pay us, and then you can drop them anytime. You swipe your credit card, you're like, I want this person for a month, 6 months, whatever it is. You pay us, work with them directly. They can work on any content you want, and everyone's happy.
And you brain blast, and you model that.
The second realization was, okay, how does this become a reality? Well, our team's going to be averse to that because they like what they have now. They're paid super well. There's job security. It's just like nice. And we're pitching
it's a family
this buddy system. We had we were going through and like modeling the company. We have, say, 40 people right now. We're like, how does that line up? We want to template it. So if someone comes in 10 for 10, we're like, this is how it works. And just cookie cutter. It's like a factory. We wanted that, but then we're quickly like, oh, this model works a lot better. Excuse me. And so we were just going to rent out our people on a monthly basis. And yeah, again, our job is just screening the world-class editors, animators. And then...
Which, by the way, that's you coming over from lifestyle to, I don't even know what you call the other kind of business. Right? Like the agency is a lifestyle business. We're chilling.
Right.
Marketplace is a scale play.
That's a good point. Right. And lifestyle business, I feel like is always going to be hard. Like, it's not easy. I don't know. It's like we could.
You're
coast.
the owner of something. There's a lot of risk.
Right. So we basically realized, okay, we can. I guess the sequence of Brain Blast was kind of different. I don't know if we want to get the sequence right, because we first thought of hire out our animators, and then we had the Brain Blast that we're going to talk about now. I don't know if you want to talk about the model.
The memo?
Okay, you want to talk about the memo?
So we didn't know if we were going to be an LLC or a C Corp. We bring in essentially a CFO. We outsource all of our accounting. Things start moving slow. We got 40 people. We're managing them. We're writing so many memos. And we're like, we can't do this forever. This isn't as much fun as when it was like 6 of us being silly and goofing off. A lot of crazy things ensued. Go listen to the last 2 episodes. Then you do it, Pop. You brain blast for 4 days straight. You're like, it's over. The model is the marketplace. We're doing the marketplace. Like, I will hear people out. I will see what people think and where we can kind of compromise. But we're doing the marketplace. That's where we're going. And we're like, all right. If we're doing that, we need to.
The first thing, like, we're shutting down media. It's over.
Shutting
media
it down.
is no more. We're going marketplace 100%. Guess what? Not even marketplace. It's just Clipped. Clipped is it. That is the company. We were trying to create this memo for the team. Like, how do we ease them?
One final memo.
One final memo. It's just like,
I guess
the memo.
One of 3 final memos.
It's kind of a lot because right before the holidays, a lot of shit's going on. That's why I keep joking about like the holiday bonus, 13th month bonus. Like a lot of people are uncertain about what's happening. So a lot of shit in the air. We want to get it right. And I'm like, this fucking memo sucks. We want to send it to our captains to proof it before we send it to the team, so we don't like scare everyone.
We start taking on this life rips thing. So we're both in this memo. It feels like a group project. We don't usually write like this, but we're like, it has to get done. We're both in there. We can see each other's cursors. We're like, yes, dude. Like, rewrite my intro. It's just another chance at the intro, dude. Another chance to get it right. I wrote it already, but fucking yes, dude. I'm stoked for your intro. And we're just getting like dizzyingly stupid.
Dude, it's Tomas hour.
But it's Tomas hour, so it's 9, 10, 11 in the evening. And we don't usually do a heavy lift like that, like a memo like that in the evening. You do, I certainly don't. And it starts getting giggly, man. But to all the yes, what was funny is we started doing this, I think it's Crystalia Life Rips, right? Yes, dude. And like My First Million brought it up. It's just like for every bad thing, you've heard us doing it this entire episode. Yes, dude. Like what's the silver lining there? Even if I'm being fucking sarcastic and this blows. Yeah, life rips. And the memo keeps getting better. It keeps getting better, and we're fucking around in the chat. And finally, you get to these 3 bullets.
Well,
right?
And we're trying to. One thing I realized is hey, this is more than just a memo of like, hey, how should we bridge this to the current team? Because we're taking who we think are like our favorite A-team people that we want to create clipped. Like scale clips to the moon, to Mars, to the whole fucking universe. We want to work with this team because we found they're just the best, most ambitious of our team. And we're realizing part of this, yes, is to get their feedback on the whole team, but part of it is to sell them on our vision. Because if they don't want to be along for the vision to take over the universe, then you should just get in the marketplace. Work on that. If you just want to edit little videos, if you want to grow something incredible with us, this is the memo for that. So that's why we're getting kind of picky with how we approach it, which is why it hasn't gone out. But also figuring out the model, which yesterday I kind of cracked what I thought was the code on it. But so we're going through the mission, or like the vision, I should say.
The 3 plans to scale.
Something.
I
like
believe.
that. Let's call it the vision in 3 steps.
Right.
Step 1.
Yeah, it was the vision in 3 steps.
It's subscription, right? Yeah. So
Maybe we should pull it up. Maybe I'll pull it up.
Step 1 is basically subscription. We want everyone that wants to create ongoing content to hire our animators and editors in a subscription model. Step 2 is on demand. So you want to have, hey, you can come in, you just have 1 video, you have 2 videos, you're not like a consistent creator. Guess what? You can come in and get that 1 video made. Step 3.
Hey, stop right there. Stop right there. Because now I see a ping. I see a little notification in the chat. I'm doing other things. I was like shopping at that point. I'm sorry. Because while you were writing all my stuff, I was like, yes, dude, just rewrite it. I'll go do something else. This is perfect. So you're rewriting it, and I see the chat. It pings. And you're like, step 1 is we do subscriptions. Step 2 is on demand. I think we'll be happy there. Like, step 3 was we leave video, and we go to all creative fields. And you're like, you hit the chat. You're like, well, shouldn't we just stay in video? Like, that's our thing. That's what we do. Why would we even want to go to all creative fields? And I'm like, what did you just say? You're telling me you want to get rid of bullet number 3? And then I don't know what I said, but I'm like, no, Pop, we'll do everything. Keep it lofty, because now we're talking like 5-10 years out. Just keep it lofty.
Right.
And you're like, fine. How did we bridge the gap?
I'm looking.
I can pull
the,
up the notes. I'll pull up the notes.
Okay.
We got to get
you
this right.
scanned through a little bit better than me.
Okay. Here we go. Wow, I scrolled right to it. I think we just focus on video. You say graphic artists can be a part of that. Big enough industry for now. Fucking video. I say probably just video. Or just swing for the fences, because we should dominate and buy Fiverr. Then I say, yeah, 3 is all fields. We buy Fiverr. Sick of not being matched up with creative talent. You say, wait, what you mean? I said, give me all creatives. We're going straight for Fiverr's head. You say, okay, all creative fields. I say, all. 1-click hiring. You say, for everything? I say, hiring's so goddamn hard. Everything. We're coming for TaskRabbit too. Ours. Then you say, well, we're going to have to rebrand. Here's what I say. Amazon, the everything store. Yeah, we will. You said, oh, fuck. I said, we want everything in all caps. You said it. Everything, hiring. I say, start with books, like Amazon did. Everything, hiring. 1 click. Oh, shit. What is it? Like recruiters, the everything recruiters. And then this is when it happens, folks, okay? I say hiring has been our biggest problem all along. It was my biggest problem at Dunbar. It burned me. Did it in 1 click. Yes, dude. Now we can build harder. Oh my God, we got to rewrite the intro. Yeah, so we're just tweaking. But what we realized is when push comes to shove, every single thing we've talked about over the last year, before that, when we talk about opportunity costs and Naval and principal agent and Tim Ferriss and the 4-hour work week, it's all hiring. All we do is talk about hiring.
I forgot to say this, but on our call right before, like, I don't know, the past week, our last call, we're like, hey, we're going to have just a fucking team. We're going to put $50,000 behind it. All we're going to do is just hire as many fucking animators as it takes. That is our goal. Who's on board? And we get a lot of pushback from the team. They're like, I just want to edit videos. Like, it's not I'm not a recruiter. Like, I don't want to be like, y'all don't understand. We're going to war. Like, we got to fucking hire because we're struggling. We are having this wait list. We can't have that. There's so many people that want this. This is like a once in a lifetime thing. We have to seize the day. And most of them just didn't want to seize the day. So, like, this is why hiring's so hard. Look at the whole U.S. market right now. It's so hard to hire people, and it's just like, it's a mess everywhere. So we're everything hiring. And what
Fiverr sucks. Upwork sucks. OnlineJobs.ph sucks. Monster sucks. ZipRecruiter sucks. Nobody can hire.
And why? So the reason why we're starting in video is because Henry and I don't really understand video. We can tell like a good video from a bad one, but we can't really tell what is like stock footage that they just applied or stock templates versus something they custom made. Versus the best animators in the world can immediately tell this person is on my level or not, or they can rank them. So our whole philosophy is, hey, let's assemble the best in the world, and they screen and train everybody, and then we're going to give them to you in one click. Like it's an Uber. You're calling the Uber. I want Uber Black. It shows up at your door in a couple minutes with exactly what you want. You want to get to that destination. That's what we are. You don't know who the Uber driver is before. You just know they're going to be amazing. They're going to get you from point A to point B, and they're going to be super courteous throughout the process.
And we've got our foot in the door with video editing. From there, you just take every single industry.
That's what we were talking about.
You're like, yeah. You had them spelled out, and I had finance, and you're like, finance? I'm like, fucking finance. And I'm like, education. You're like, education? Fucking education. We go to all of the things we hate, and we talk about all day long, and we fix them with hiring.
Well, so this is the point. It's like, why is this not everywhere? So for us, for you hiring the developer for Dunbar, why do you have to go through, like I tried doing lemon.io because they supposedly had people, but they want me to like get on a phone call with them. And it's this stupid process. I'm like, just tell me who's awesome, opt me into them, be like, oh, we did this crazy matchmaking process, here's your person. In a matter of seconds, I get my person. If for some reason I see them and I'm like, I don't like their portfolio, you can opt out, but just match me with someone and then let's just rip, because I trust your screening process. I've seen you guys work with Will Smith, you work with Naval Ravikant, you work with Chamath, the All-In folks, like you work with everyone amazing. Why do I think I'm better than that? I don't. I trust that you're amazing. So let's do that for, say, software developers. We're like, we have the team that created Gmail. They are screening all of these people. They've ranked them. And we are, if you sign up, you buy our video, they're going to be working with you directly on this. It's like, are you going to be like, oh my God, I don't want to work with the fucking third person that worked on Gmail? Like, I don't want to, I don't trust them. Or like, it doesn't make any sense. So we can go through every industry, and you don't have to go on like this sort of Fiverr thing where you're searching for who's the best. We just tell you, this person is the best person that's available right now. Objectively speaking,
trust us.
We're matching you with them.
And what's crazy, connecting, again, like Steve Jobs' Stanford address was, you can only connect the dots in hindsight. We start looking back, we're losing our minds. We're like, I'm cackling. Cackling. My girlfriend's at the other side of our van. She thinks I'm mental. What we realize, my weakness is hiring. Your strength is hiring. All we do is talk about hiring. We're like, well, we're not video editors. We're not a media company. We're not video. We're the incentives people.
When we were talking about scaling this thing, it was like, you wanted to scale. Originally, when we were talking about Clipped, we were like, can we build the tools for our animators to be more efficient? And that's going to be awesome because we're an agency, but we're more efficient, and then we can sell that tool to other people. Like, that was one version of scaling. We've always been iterating. That's why we're thinking about this stuff constantly. But I was scared. I'm like, we have no software developer experience. I don't know how to find one. I called a couple friends who I knew were smart. I'm like, I trust your opinion. How do I find this person? Do you know anyone? And everything's off of referrals. So this is essentially making a marketplace of referrals in this case. But same thing with who that CFO team was. They were just a referral from Shane Mack. But I was scared to get into that Clipped, build the software tool to help our video editors. I'm like, Henry, I'm intrigued by this MIT balloon challenge. Technically DARPA balloon challenge that MIT won, where DARPA put 9 balloons or so call it 10 balloons around the country in random places, giant red balloons floating in the sky. Like, whoever can find exactly where these 10 balloons are fastest wins $50,000 or whatever the prize was. And the brilliant thing about MIT was they're like, oh, let's figure out how to use the crowd to do this. let's set up this recursive incentive program. What the fuck does that mean? That means when I send a link to Henry, if Henry finds the balloon, I also get paid. But if Henry doesn't find it, but Henry sends it to someone, both Henry gets paid and I get paid. And it trickles down. So I was fascinated by that. And I'm like, can we apply this to solve hiring? I would rather do that than the video editing, that code to scale. It's just funny to me because I've always been obsessed with hiring. And now I'm like, oh my God, our worlds are coming together. We stumble upon this brilliant idea. I was like, Sean's one of the most fun nights. The other night was honestly one of the most fun nights with the fucking cackling fest.
That was fun because we're laughing, and this is something we'll never be able to translate to an audience, but we're like, bullet number 3 talked back to us. We were writing this memo. Sexy number 3 is writing us now. And man, it's talking back. And like, that's just shit
Dirty.
Like stored
Dirty
away somewhere.
number 3.
Dirty number 3.
So dirty number 3.
And we're like, oh my God, dude. We have the chat.
I know.
I
wanted to see. There's too many. It's a fucking long chat, but I also saved it.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Here it is. I said, yes, dude, life rips. If you didn't rewrite the intro the first time, we wouldn't be building the next Amazon now, dude. My vision is getting foggy. Tunnel vision for focusing, dude. Banking. You say banking. I said fix that whole industry. Banking. Yes, dude. Incentives. Real estate, you say. I'm like, make it more broad. Yes, dude. Real estate. Oh, my God.
What's so cool about this is the world is remote, right? So everyone's...
Wait, you had a one-liner. It's this whole podcast. You said, I wanted to make $100,000 a year. You wanted a sandwich. Let's build Amazon. And then... Wait. And then, it gets funnier. Hiring is all our... Didn't you say, like, number 1? Number 2, it was like smart nonsense. Number 2 was something... Hold on. I gotta find this. Smart nonsense media. Smart nonsense media become we fix hiring. They do the hiring. You can't got us. Dude, hiring. Okay, I think that's it. No, there was number 1. You go. I'll find it.
There's a lot of shit there, and basically, so I started telling my dad, I'm like, hey, I think we figured it out. Like, we cracked the code. We fix hiring. That's sort of like the idea that we had. We fixed hiring. It's the number 1 problem. We fix it. But when I tell my dad, or Henry tells his dad or his brother, everyone's just like, y'all are fucking crazy. Like, what do you mean? You're starting in video. Doesn't Fiverr already do that? Upwork already does it. Like, they're also doing many more industries. They're going to crush you guys. Like, what the fuck is the point? It's like they laugh at us. And this is the thing where before everyone's like, oh, it's a brilliant business model. Like, oh, Dunbar is sick. Oh, Smart Nonsense Media, that's an amazing agency. And I told Henry, I'm like, dude, this is just people. We're mimetic beings. Like, why I like Peter Thiel is he's like, get the fuck away from the herd. Everyone copies each other. Escape the competition. And how do you do that? Well, you go for that thing that everyone thinks is crazy, but you think is right, and is actually right. And this is one of those where I'm like, everyone thinks we're crazy. We're trying to take on like Amazon level shit, but we're like, no, this is it. We have our atomic network. We're like, we're in the video space. We can do video better than Fiverr or Upwork. We know that for a fact because we are screening, we are giving it, we're like making it as easy as possible. Next step is just move over to graphic artists. We kind of get that industry too. We just hire the best and go from there. Like, I don't actually understand animation. You don't understand animation within After Effects, but we just hire the people that do. The most amazing in the world. They set up the systems to hire, and then everyone coming through is going to be amazing, and we do that in every industry throughout the world.
Dude, and so to bring this all full circle, it's like on the other side of the market, right? We know our buddy David, my co-founder at Dunbar, we know he's brilliant. He's just mismatched somewhere. So on the other side of the marketplace, like, David needs to be one click hired. Mm-hmm. There's just like this huge problem. Athena, right? My girlfriend, same thing. Brilliant mind. Best school in the country. We know these people are smart, but they don't know how to apply themselves. They need one click hiring.
Right.
But I found the thing you said. This was for the 3 bullet points. Step 1, step 2, fix hiring. 1, 2, fix hiring. We just kept saying it to each other. 1, 2, fix hiring. I think Athena might break up with me. This isn't normal.
Dude, I can't get...
You said it's okay. We'll hire her back. Oh, God.
But what I love about this is the beauty is everyone thinks it's crazy. So no one's going to do it. We can tell the world, we can preach to the world what we're doing and how we're doing it. Granted, they could actually execute in another industry,
no more.
but we're going to fuck them. Like, they can't beat us. We out-execute them. That's our superpower. We're stoked. We get 0 to 1 better than anyone else. And then we're going to have Jack scale the fuck out of it in video. Then he can come and take what he's learned from there and apply it to graphic arts, all the creative fields, move into all the different fields in every industry around the world. We take over everything.
It's here. Everything.
What do we learn? I think we arrived at today. We essentially
Yeah,
have,
I gotta go, Pop.
I know. Issa's kind of freaking out on me. But I'm supposed to go like ice skating or something.
Give me
So, a couple things. One, where are we at today? We essentially have like 15 clients that are, they want to do 10 for 10 for us. So call it almost $2 million in revenue if we're greedy, at least with demand side. We still have to find some animators for them. But like 1.5 million safely. That's where we're at today. We want to get to $10 million by 1 year from now. So end of 2022. Want to be at $10 million.
moving them all over to the marketplace.
Move them all over the marketplace. It's probably going to be video. Like, we hope to crush video by then, maybe even more. We figured out the model earlier, the podcast we shot like
Last
2 hours ago,
episode.
that we figured out the incentive system. And then from there, it's just how do we get to 100 million? And that's going to be our unicorn company. And we can do that a year later, 2 years. I don't know what it is, but like our head down is just, let's get to 10 million by the end of the year.
Yes,
Yeah,
dude. Let me
that's
hit
it.
the audience with 3 learnings. No, that's not it. I got 3 learnings. You're not going ice skating. Everybody you look up to is 1 sentence away. All right? Get
Wait.
moving.
These
That's
are
how
your
so much-
80-20 learnings from the last year, growing a company from 0
Yes,
to 1.5 million,
dude.
ditching all your friends.
Dude, had I thank God I didn't say that, dude, because now you can fill the audience in on 80-20, dude. Yes, these are my 80-20. So, 3 biggest learnings. Everyone you look up to is a sentence away. Get moving, fucking cause a ruckus, talk to them, hit them up, be annoying, be persistent, just do it. Number 2, this is my flippening. Build a profitable business first. Get out of this whole like VC thing that like I need to come up with the idea just sitting around. I'm going to come up with it and then I'm going to go put together a pitch deck and go on a fundraising tour and go to Sand Hill Road. Fuck that. Build it yourself. Play by your own rules. Find a co-founder. This shit's crazy and scary. Find a co-founder and
You really,
make $100 online.
that sounded like 10 in 1.
That was one thing. Build a profitable business first. Okay. 3, you can lead the motherfucking horse to water. You cannot make it drink. All right? There's a personality type for everything. Some people love to do things. Some people hate to do things that other people love. No matter what, like, if you're pitching somebody, they're only going to do what directly applies to them and what they want to do themselves. You cannot make a horse drink.
But what helps
That's mine. Those are my 3.
with like a lot of our pitches now, or what we were doing, we're not going to pitch going forward, was we would show them exactly the sample of what their content would look like, so they don't have to think. Like, the offer is just there. One thing I wanted to say here, these are sort of the 0 to 1 lessons, because probably everyone listening is 0 to 1 stage. We also have a bunch of stuff. I have like my book notes for the future when we write like everything. A ton of stuff from like 1 beyond. But I love that. So first one is everyone's just a sentence away. Awesome. That's clearly how we got to where we are. We don't have a website. We just have Twitter DMs. That's all we really are. Then number 2, making the business rework.
Build
a profitable business rework. Did that. That's why I love them. It's like we're sort of in the mentality, especially with this shareholder letter, where I know they're going to be asking to invest. Like, they're going to want to invest in us versus us asking them to invest. So plus our valuation is going to be much, much higher because we have a profitable business behind us. We make 50% margins on $10 million. That's fucking amazing. Now we're going to be valued an insane amount because it's proven. What was your last one?
You can lead the horse
Oh,
to
yeah.
water. You can't make it drink.
Okay, perfect. I already talked about that.
That's everything.
And I do that a lot.
Let me say this about advice, and then I want your 3 learnings. this is an old Naval adage. Read everything, ignore everything, right? Get advice from everyone, ignore everyone's advice. The advice I'm giving, the advice you're going to give, just applies to what we've done in the last year. It has nothing to do with the listener, really.
Right.
And you're only going to apply the things that need to apply to you. Just be curious and want to learn. That's the skill.
Okay, mine are pretty similar. You kind of grouped some shit together and tackled some of mine. But
Hell yeah.
Number one,
Yes, dude.
I would say
Elaboration.
the most important thing. I don't think this is necessarily. No, I would say this is step one. At least for us, it was step one. Find your best friend founder. That's just, for us, we're effectively founders together with Smart Nonsense. We did it for a year. That's why I trusted you, you trusted me. We could go into this together. We're on the same mindset. We're on the same path. It just made so much perfect sense. We just had to go through those anti-goals, make sure no issues were going to come up. But it's been literally the most fun. It's we get to make millions having fun together. It's paying us to hang out and just talk about cool topics. It's the most absurd shit
It's
ever.
dangerous.
I know we shit on college a lot, but Henry and I wouldn't have ever met if we didn't go to the same school together. That's why I'm if you're going to go to those schools, make sure you make the most of it and be that bold introvert in the start. Talk to someone. One advice I heard was just be the first person to say hi. That's the rule. You don't have to do any more in the conversation. Just be the person that starts it. Luckily that happened. We talked, so everything's been much easier. It's fucking fun. So if you can find that, find it. Twitter is a great place where you don't need to go to an awesome school. You can find these people online and then still have a great business. We're working remote, probably for the majority of the company, or at least our Smart Nonsense included.
10 for 10 was remote.
Right.
Things got hot when they were remote.
Right. Maybe we're bad together.
It works. Yeah, maybe.
So that's number one. Just find your best friend founder. Number two, kind of what you said. What can you do today? How do you test this? Don't worry about setting up an LLC. I didn't have a company. It was just essentially me with a couple of people in the Philippines helping out. We didn't have a business plan. We don't have any of the shit. Granted, I did the model, but that's once we know the economics. We know how everything's going to work out. I hate when people have a business plan before a business. It makes no fucking sense to me. Have the business and then make the plan to scale it up in the future. And then just kind of in that, what can you do today? Offer value. Don't ask for anything. You talked about Athena's potential mistake. She tried to ask for something, probably too soon. It might still work out.
It's mine.
Okay. Your mistake?
I told her to.
Well, I wish you listened to point number 2 before. And then
how about that?
Point number 3, just, I don't know. I don't like this point necessarily, but I'm
oh, are you going to say you love me? Don't do it,
no,
Pop.
don't
Not
project.
on the air.
It's a lot different. Iterate before you die. It's kind of a...
You do love me.
Hey, that's point number 4, but
Yeah.
you asked for 3. Yeah, it's just we've been so close to death so many times, and the fact that we just keep testing new things to keep us from dying, we're oh, we're about to die. Let's just iterate and change our thing to now have a rule book, and these are our terms. And don't be afraid to just fucking iterate like crazy, because I guess it's more the 0 to 1 stage. So in our case, if that first video that AJ made didn't hit off, our podcast never hit, it still hasn't hit. That's fine, because we keep iterating. We test with Todd, the agency model. That kind of hit. We got 10K a month, which is awesome, more money than we've ever seen. But it's not no one was reaching out to us asking for business, because it was in the dark arts. No one's going to reach out and ask, oh, Todd, who's your editor? I want to hire them too. We just kept iterating. We tried clips. We tried a different business model of clipped. We tried a million different things, and now we're finally at this big, I think we hit 1. We're kind of in the 2 or 3 stage. We want to get to 100. That's where a lot of our other learnings, we can apply them going forward, but I'm sure we're going to learn an insane amount more. This is just the entrepreneur who hasn't started. You essentially follow, I don't know what the mixed version of us is start today with that one-liner to anyone. That's what you can do today. Just one line, offer value.
Let me say this to the entrepreneur. What can you do today? Motion today, right? Because this is actually the greatest pleasure, I think, from my year is, this isn't because you were an entrepreneur when we started, but when we started, you were fearful to file for an LLC. And here we are at the end of the year. You filed for an LLC in one day, a new one, a second one, with the ambition, right? So with the ambition to build the next Amazon.
Right.
So you have gone from how do I file an LLC? How do I start a corporation on paper to I want to build the biggest thing I can to change the world while I'm here.
That's the crazy thing.
Just from starting.
There's so much momentum too. Like everything, people look at us now and like, oh wow, you're successful. I knew you were smart before. Like, but wow, you created something. It's like, no, it's just day by day iterations of just slowly improving. We realize, oh, we hate doing projects. Let's stop doing projects. Let's stop being in the weeds. How do we get away from that? Let's iterate, change the model a little bit, change our rule book, and everything's fucking like we're in a really good place. I haven't had to do much work in the business for a while. It's mostly been on it, and we're with the marketplace. That's our ultimate on it, because on it we can scale it to the everything hiring. A couple before we wrap up. Is there any advice that you heard
that was so nice
that you don't like or you think has changed
over
the course?
Oh, my response to that, because you texted me that, my response to that was take all of the advice, ignore all of the advice.
Oh, okay.
Even what we're saying right now, it doesn't. Read everything, ignore everything. I just slipped it in earlier. Yeah. But all advice is bullshit, but some of it you need. Take it all with a grain of salt. So I can't recollect. Hey, there it is. I can't think of anything. Do you have?
My one, I remember I've been questioning the optimize for people. That was a big one that we had coming out of Sean. He's like, oh, optimize for people, like find the best people to work with and start doing that. I haven't seen many fruits out of these relationships other than that we kind of leapfrog to the next cool person. It's not personally that fulfilling to me. They're like on our email list, but like, again, my goal was to hang out with them. We haven't gotten there yet. I think it's going to be a lot easier when we have $1 billion company to hang out with them versus like us being the plebes that do their work. But I think the sort of optimization I would go for is optimizing for distribution. So when I have this person, hopefully they're cool, you like them, like that keeps you more engaged. When they put out the video, are 100,000 people going to see it and they can trace who created it? Because that's why we get so much demand without having a website. They see on Twitter, oh, Smart Nonsense made this. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to work with them. It all comes back to us. It's like I termed it before, this flywheel versus the die wheel. When we put out an Evolve video, it doesn't cost us much. The world sees it. Now Will Smith reaches out to us. Now Ali Abdaal reaches out to us to work with us. Amar, everyone reaches out. Versus when we would make a Todd video, which is more effort, less money, no one would reach out to us. Because he's targeting 18-year-old wannabe fuckboys. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
That was one of my big ones. I don't know.
That's really good. We don't preach optimize for people as much anymore.
I know.
I think we optimize in the sense that we work with all these awesome people. We definitely feel like if it's not Smart Nonsense Media, if it's not clipped, if we like totally blow up, we still have those relationships with those people. They know who we are. But like you said, that's different than what at least your goal was, and to a large extent mine. Is like, I want to be hanging out with. I want to be at the poker table with Sax and Shamal.
I don't know if I want to anymore. They kind of seem obnoxious. But one thing we realized too, everyone's fucking stupid. Like all these people, they're just great at one thing. We were great at like hiring one awesome team of Filipinos, editors, animators, and now we're suddenly we're no different than we were before. We just happened to get lucky once, but we're so effective executors that's why we're able to scale up. So I think there are a lot of people that have the wrong model, have the wrong business, and they're just fucking running in place. Like, for example,
what is it? They have good ideas. The difference between a good idea and a great idea. Good idea is the worst because you'll just run on it forever.
Which the agency is.
Yeah, it's a really good idea.
And a lot of people, this gets into like the rat race. It's like the salary is the worst drug because you're there. It's good. It's not great. Like our life is objectively great right now. I would love it. I would never trade it for anything. Literally, I don't like. I would fucking kill someone if they try to take this from us. Which is
easy.
Don't get fucking near me.
There's the documentary.
But a lot of people you're working your job right now. This is my advice to my friend. Actually, I listened to My First Million podcast, and Sean's like, people don't realize there's like the opportunity cost when you're in a job of not being able to take on the next wave. So right now, he's like, I'm working on my e-commerce business. I know I'm missing Web3 and it sucks. And there are a lot of people right now, like my friend Matt, who's a software engineer, basically coder, whatever you want to call it. And he's not making much money. He's not really happy with what he's doing, but he's doing it because it's a nice paycheck. But I'm like, dude, you don't realize the opportunity cost of missing this huge wave. Go down and go up. Like, just quit job, move home for 6 months. Just fucking try Web3. There's so much demand there. I know you're going to find a job that's more profitable. It's going to be better. Just like be patient for a little bit, and your whole life, for the rest of your life, like our lives for the next 60 years are going to be amazing because we made that one leap, which actually, as we said, was the most fun part about this whole journey. Was when we were the poorest, the most uncertain life. That was the most fun part. So figure out the person, the best friend that wants to be on that journey with you. Get on it and just fucking run.
Let's end on this, because I think early in the podcast we came up with that analogy, that mountain thing. And you didn't want to shoot it at the time because we hadn't gotten to some summit. So you felt it was disingenuous for us to speak like, you have to go down. You get to some path on the mountain, you can see the summit, but the path ends. So you need to go down the mountain to get on another path that goes to the top. You have to go down to go up. That's not ours. It was someone else's. But shit, I shouldn't have done it because it was a bigger analogy than that. We were talking about climbing Kilimanjaro. And us being young and doing this in our 20s, right? We were the last ones to summit that day, but we beat all the old people up. And there were all these analogies we were making about sprinting for a year or two in your 20s and getting to the summit first, having to go down and go up, being at base camp. Most people, my brain hurt, but we can finally come back to it. I feel like
it was kind of like, the analogy, I never released this blog post, and that's kind of one of my, why I love Henry, because he's like, dude, just put it out 80-20, it's good enough. And then now I reference it, but no one has seen it. But it's basically like, everyone's kind of like, especially where we are, you're born on fucking, I don't know what they call it, Camp 4. Right before the summit.
It.
And you never learned how to climb. You can't go up, and you just keep struggling. You never get there. So you have to go down, learn it on the slightly less steep gradient, learn how to climb there. Then you climb back up to Camp 4, and then to the summit on Camp 5, or whatever the summit is. So you need to go down and go up.
Right, you need to go down and acclimate. We even did that on Kilimanjaro.
Right.
We went up really high, really fast, but then we had to come back down, hang out, acclimate, figure some shit out so that we were prepared enough to get to the summit. And when people upgrade their lifestyle and they're born into families like we were born into, and you go to an Ivy League school and you're at Camp 4, it's very, very hard to go down the mountain and acclimate for a little while and tough it and hang out with less money, less friends, all these things. But you have to do that to go up.
The pandemic was so great for us, and it sucks because a lot of people died. A lot of people hated being the introverted life that I live. But it's no excuse, nothing to do other than just grind. And we're still kind of in that world. So if you're in your 20s, this is where the Sean thing, don't take the measurement till you're 30. You should be out there doing crazy shit. Just fucking find someone. Again, I don't know if I'd be here. I wouldn't be here. I'm 100% certain if I didn't have you. It's the same thing. Just make your effort to find someone like-minded, interested in whatever area you're interested in. Be obsessed with it with that person, and it's going to be the most fun journey of your life.
Hang out at the bottom of the mountain for a while. Yeah. I think that's it.
Okay.
All right, Pop.
Jesus Christ, what a day.
Freaking Gardaloo, my man.
Gardaloo.